To return, hold on, to return to regular session, I will read it as it is. Motion to enter executive session on the Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, reason number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, and the chair so declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the governmental body. We are talking about 635 Massachusetts Avenue, and to re-enter open meeting after adjourning the executive session.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You need to announce the remote participation and the reason why, and,
We-
because it's all roll call vote from.
Yes, okay, and we will be, Michael Ray Jeffries will be participating remotely as he is out of town. We will be calling in via phone for audio only during this session.
He's on speakerphone.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, oh, he's there.
Yes.
Hi, Michael, sorry.
How are you?
Or maybe we'll put it on volume. There we go. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, Mr. Jeffries,
Aye.
Mr. McQuaid.
Aye.
Mrs. Luck.
Aye.
And I for myself. Okay, I will turn it over to the town manager and the chief to present
I'm starving.
And Michael already
I know,
started.
I didn't have lunch either.
No, is that-
I get smart.
I don't think he
pop
just was
sometimes.
gonna be here for the executive
okay.
session.
One that's got less skinny pop. I got a bag of smart pop and a
Still,
bag of
every
skinny
time,
pop.
I'm still looking for
Got
my
a
glasses.
What's the name of this? I don't know.
Still looking for my glasses.
Head.
No, no, like
I
I
don't know
keep
what
going
it's like.
here, because I keep them on my shirt.
Oh, yeah, no. This is purple.
All right, please come in, have a seat.
You know, you don't feel totally hungry when you're done.
All right, and we're done.
You guys ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, Emily, we are ready. I will bring the board out of recess and back into open session and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. I will start today and ask if there is any public comment from the board.
Pancake breakfast tomorrow morning. Senior Center, $2, all you can eat, 8:30 to 10.
You didn't say be there.
Be there.
You'll have to submit the pancake schedule to me next year so somebody can.
Yeah, that's right. I'll have to email you every second Tuesday of the month.
Any other public comment from the board?
Not right now.
Okay, any public comment from the public? Yes, please. Mr. Burns, welcome.
Yes. Greg Burns, 13 Oak Ave, Lunenburg. Also on the Agricultural Commission. I just want to say farmers market season is upon us. May 31st is going to be opening day, and it's going to run till October 11th. We got a bunch of surprises. Opening day, don't want to give too much away, but Brian Weeks is going to be performing.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. And we got a lot of vendors signed up so far. So just want to say, hope to see the public there, see you guys there again, and
Whatever assistance we can be as a board, I mean, it was a
In the same spot?
same spot.
great event
Yep.
last year. You guys did a
And
great
last year
job.
was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. All right,
Congratulations on that. I think it's enough, that's a good enough warning, 2.5 months. So,
trying to give you guys warning.
I appreciate
Get ready.
All right, thank you
Thanks,
very
guys.
much. Looking forward to it.
Any other public comment? So announcements, I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't at least announce that with the ongoing health scare around the globe and in the country that, and just perfect timing as one of our Board of Health members walks in, that we have been posting on the Board of Health, I think it's on the website too, all their announcements. that they've been-
Yes,
So.
under news and announcements.
On the news and announcements, so the Board of Health has been keeping in contact with the state and with the federal authorities about the condition and situation as it unfolds, so please be aware that that's a place you can get information on as up-to-date as we're getting it. I also should say, and it's early on, but we did get an advisory from our town council that, as a point of information, I'll just read it. As a point of information, I'd like to pass along that there is significant discussion in the municipal law community about whether town meetings should be held in the spring due to the coronavirus. So there has been a discussion about this. No determination has been made, but it is under advisement, and as conditions and situations change in either direction, we will keep everybody alerted, but it is a possibility. So I just wanted to say that they are thinking about this at the state level. Obviously, it requires probably, in some cases, some kind of waivers and acknowledgement, because some of these are required by law, that we have them by our charter, by state law, et cetera. But due to public emergency, these can be waived if it is so deemed. So just be aware of that. This is not to cause any scare, it's really just to keep people alerted.
Just a note on that, it's a vote of the Board of Selectmen. There's a section of Mass General Law that allows it, even though within our charter. So it allows a delay of town meeting
Is there a certain amount of time it can be delayed, or just indefinitely?
till June 30th.
when we're all, I would base it on whatever's going on with the school. I'd imagine if I'm sending all of my children to school every day, I'd feel comfortable going to a meeting, under any circumstance. If I'm willing to risk putting them in a crowd, then conditions must be good enough for us still to meet up as well.
Yeah, there are things about notifications and when we send out the warrant and, you know, what we can do. Anyway, it's just to give people an advisory, that's all, at this point. As we hear more, we'll let people know. Okay, that's announcements. Any other do we have any other announcements?
No, none.
Okay, so appointments, 7:05, the Lunenburg Skate Park Toll Booth fundraiser request for June 6, 2020, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and an update on the 01462 Skate Park Group activities. I feel like this is to tell the truth here. Welcome.
Hi, Aiden Swift, part of the Lunenburg Skate Park Committee. We're just here to tell you what we've been working on for the past few months. So recently we have recruited a new social media maven to help boost up our Instagram, which is 01462 Skate Park, just to post more information on that. We've also put on Facebook a new donate button so that you can just donate more money on Facebook instead of pressing the link to GoFundMe. Speaking of Facebook, we're also going to be posting more information about where we've been and what we'll be doing for future fundraisers. And then we have also put up a new promotion video on YouTube. Griffin?
Hello, I'm Griffin Causo, another member of the Lunenburg Skate Park Committee. As for finances, the Lunenburg Skate Park currently has $57,000 in our public bank account, and we are still fundraising. We are doing, we're getting a donation from Senator Dean Tran, and he said he would do a matching donation. So whatever he donates, the town has to match that amount in donations in order for us to get that. So if he offers $50,000, the town has to come together to raise another 50 in order for us to get that 100,000. And that's all.
Does he mean,
I'm not sure.
can I ask you a question about that? Are you saying that individuals in town would have to donate 50,000, or are you expecting that to come out of the town budget?
More of the town coming together, like the individuals, and just having more like people step up and donate to the project.
Private donations.
Private donations,
yes.
okay, all right, phew. Good.
I'm for fundraisers, and since we've last met, we had a golf tournament.
No, you have to say your name.
Oh, sorry,
first.
Mason Whitcomb.
Okay.
Part of the skate park committee. Since we've last met, we did a golf tournament that was able to raise us a few $1,000s. We also have a Battle of the Bands planned for May 29th. We did this last year. We were able to raise $3,000, and hopefully this year, with some changes we're making, we're hoping to make even more. We were also donated a tractor like a year ago, and due to some legal things, we were not able to raffle that off until this summer, since you have to be like 2 years nonprofit in order to be able to raffle off like big ticket items such as that. So we're looking to raffle that off for the summer, and that's what we have in plan for fundraisers.
Excellent.
My name is Aiden Moore. I'm talking about the new and recent adding of staff to our team. So recently we have gone around to classrooms in the middle school and just presented our slideshow to the classes. And we gained 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who would like to help out with the project. We also have a Battle of the Bands, which is on May 29th, to help out and run the event, and also he's going to be taking care of the sound and instrument equipment. And also, as Aiden already said, we picked up a new social media, or specifically Instagram, Maven, to help us run the account. Yeah.
So what's a maven?
It's just, she's just,
Like a
The
leader.
person?
yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
It's like a term for like leader.
I think we have a generational problem.
It's an old word.
Yes.
Chris Roy. I'm part of the Lunenburg Skate Park Committee.
And what was your
Late,
name?
Chris Roy. Lately, we met with the kids at a small group of kids at Lawrence Academy, and we talked to them about our project, and they asked us questions, and it was good. And then we also met with the Groton Rotary Club.
The Rotary Club?
Yeah.
Groton.
Although you guys could all stand there and just move 2 feet
Yeah.
instead of, but
This is the
You're doing
last thing. For the toll booth, the date we're requesting is June 6th, which is graduation. I don't know what else we need to do for that, but
so
Did you check with the
apply-
police?
Did you apply? Did you?
I
put in-
believe we did apply, yes.
Do we have?
Yes, it's in your
Okay,
packet.
It's in the packet, okay.
Did they check with the police?
So who is doing the collecting?
It's not checked off if the police
Like
have
in
been
the
notified.
streets?
Yes,
The adults.
okay,
Yeah, we're getting a group of like maybe like 20 adults together.
excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah, as long as it was applied to and got the approval of the police.
There's
chief.
nothing, it doesn't say whether the police were notified or DPW was notified. So if they need that
So can we
first.
get that? Yeah, just submit that. We'll do it contingent
You know, it's
on-
graduation,
Contingent?
you know, that may not
Upon
be
their
a,
approval?
Yeah,
may not be a great day for that.
yeah, we'll just, I mean.
And
I'm-
with any conditions set by the police chief as far
Sure.
as?
Sure. So, just so you don't have to,
Where are the locations, like at the center of town?
center of town?
in the intersection by Bad Larry's and the convenience store, by the stoplight.
So the center?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And that's the only one place?
Yes.
okay. So I'd entertain a motion on that.
So I would make a motion to approve the toll booth for June 6th in the center of town, pending approval of the police and any conditions that they have to put on the event.
Why does it say DPW needs to be notified?
The roadways.
Okay, so then they need to check with DPW as well?
Yep.
Should be contingent on DPW approval as well.
And DPW approval as well.
That's second.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Thanks, guys. Thanks for a good presentation, good teamwork. All right, 7:10. Historical Commission request to place the CPA bylaw article on May 2nd, 2020 annual town meeting warrant. Now, they said that they wouldn't be able to have somebody here, is that correct?
Originally, Rebecca said she would not be able to attend, and after that, she said there may be someone that shows up from historical,
Anywhere
but
on the screen.
she wasn't sure.
Okay.
So it's on for next
Wow.
Tuesday's agenda. They've already submitted a warrant article.
Okay, so do we need to approve that article?
Well, the board has the right to remove that article after the close of the warrant.
Right. Well, I'd rather avoid
And you're
that.
meeting with them after the close of the warrant.
All right, so are we going to reschedule this then?
They're scheduled for next Tuesday. When
okay.
she said she couldn't come tonight.
Oh, so we just
She-
didn't take
she-
it off it tonight because it was there?
Yep, it was
Okay, so
already
we're gonna-
posted.
So that's next week. Fine. That helps us catch right up, 7:20. Public hearing for a common victual license for Il Forno, 494 Electric Ave, coming to Lunenburg. Please, yes. Just introduce yourself and then,
Hi to everybody first. My name is Mark Mohammed. I'm the owner of a Forno restaurant. And we're moving our Fitchburg location from Fitchburg to Lunenburg, which is previously Sean Patrick. And we're seeking your help.
okay, so let's look at this.
So now, there are other Il Forno
Yes,
restaurants.
we have one in
Are they loosely
Littleton.
connected, or are they all,
Say that again?
are they, is it a chain or
No,
are they?
not a
just-
chain, it's owned by me, just only two stores now, Littleton and Fitchburg. And Fitchburg moving to Lunenburg.
It's a very nice restaurant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So what are the hours going to be there, just for people?
Will be lunch and dinner, we close on Mondays, basically, unless there is some private function going on.
Okay.
We open 10 to 10, that's the latest we can open. Usually by 9 o'clock kind of slows down, so the schedule like 10 to 10, lunch and dinner, we open all day.
When is your move scheduled?
Well, it all depends on, we're in a process to sign the purchase and sale agreement and to get the liquor license transfer. I was under the impression of we can use Sean Patrick's license during the process of purchasing the building. Right now, we're leasing the building since March 1st. And so we have an option of leasing with option to buy. So we're expediting the purchase of the building. Actually, today we got the approval from the bank. So again, from beginning, I thought when we signed the lease with Sean Patrick and the contract with him, supposedly we'll open up and he can manage the license, the liquor license, while we in the process to transfer the license. So I don't think this is doable, to my understanding. So I am waiting. Tomorrow we sign the purchase and sale agreement, and we're gonna go forward with the buying the building, and we're gonna either transfer the license or apply for the new one.
Okay.
So it all depends on his situation, basically.
Usually a transfer is when somebody buys the business, right?
Right, but it could be a lease
Right, okay.
as well, but they would have to
Whichever way.
transfer the
Be
license.
one of the
Yes.
two, right.
So that's only obstacle we have at this moment.
But that's only for the liquor license.
Yeah,
Right, they can
So-
use, yeah.
Is there anything that we can do to make it easier or?
that'll be
But
great.
once that paperwork's filed, we'll come to the board for a transfer.
We can vote yes.
All right. Looking forward to that.
Thank you very much, so is I. It's my pleasure to be, an honor to be in Lunenburg.
We really welcome you. I know your restaurant, I've eaten there once or twice, and I liked it. I haven't frequented it, but
We've been there
I
for
know you have a
29
great
years.
reputation. No,
Sure.
you'll see me a lot more, I'm sure. But I know it's got a great reputation, and we look forward to you relocating here.
We
Thank
do.
you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would entertain a motion regarding the common victual license for Il Forno at 494 Electric Ave.
Make a motion, we approve the common vic license for El Forno at 494 Electric Ave.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None?
Welcome to
Thank you.
Lunenburg.
Well,
Thank you very
came
much.
all in your Il Forno fleece, too? Very nice.
Yes, sir.
Good advertising.
Ready to go to work.
All right. Thank you so
again.
much. Good luck.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. How many places? Just one? All right, it's 7:30. Now we're actually ahead of schedule. A meeting with the Green Communities Task Force regarding LED streetlights. This is Redux, right?
I do have a presentation. I don't know if I should be projecting or for the audience, or I know you guys have a copy in front of you of the
Does
basic.
PAC have a copy?
Right, does PAC have a copy is really the question.
So, I mean, do you want me to take a second to, or should I be putting the projector together, or does it show up there?
They can project onto that
It
screen.
will show up there if they have it, so
I like
do
that.
a little intro, give the control booth a little time to put it up.
Sure. All right. Hi, I'm Dave Blatt, Chairman of the Lunenburg Green Group. coming before you. I guess we wanted to chat about, we've been working on this for quite a while now. I wanted to chat with you, give you a better breakdown after a lot of research and a lot of discussions with the folks at Unitil of the options we have when it comes to streetlights. Mainly wanted to talk a little bit about what those options are, how we can save the town money, the idea of how much money we can save, and the sense of urgency we see in the town doing something quickly, sooner than later. We feel like this has kind of been kicked down the curb for a couple of times, and it's not helping anybody, and that we need to do something fairly quickly. We have a few more moments here.
There we go.
All right, excellent. Okay.
Sure, Dave.
Thanks. All right, so if I can go to the first slide here. Okay, so just wanted to give a quick recap of what the Green Group has done so far. So the first grant we got by coming to Green Group, the state gave us roughly $157,000 for up to $157 for projects to do, and we did things like things towards the primary school, Turkey Hill, the library, Eagle House, public safety, teen center, and these things went towards LED lighting, both interior, exterior, weatherization and installation, pumps and electronics. Then a couple of years ago, they now have gone into, now that we're a Green Group, we have a chance to do competitive grants. Competitive grants is more where you have to go up against the rest of the cities and towns in the state, and you actually have to have a good reason why you want to do things. So we did this last time, and we got roughly about $199,000. Out of that, we had about $52,000 for the schools, about $31,000 for the Ritter building, about $90,000 towards the public safety building, towards town hall. And one of the things we also figured is that we got some administrative costs to help us with granting, to help us with getting the funds done, and kind of managing things for us, because after all, we're a group of three. Okay, things like that. So in general, we've received roughly over $355,000 in funds from the state, and we're looking for more. So we're about to do another competitive grant this year. In this competitive grant, John Londa, who's been instrumental with us, has some things for the school. We've talked to the chief of police. He's going to be putting in for a couple of hybrid vehicles. We actually got money towards the hybrid vehicles, $5,000 towards that. There's other things available. We noticed in the capital plan that you guys, it's something in there is for like a new kitchen at the senior center. There's funds available for a stove, for Energy Star dishwasher, for range hoods and things like that. We want to help. So we need you guys to encourage the folks that manage this town to give us projects quickly, because our time is running out to put this in. We want to go for as much as we can. And one of the things we want to do is basically get them training. I think John can't speak enough of it. The training he got from them and learning how to manage these complex heat systems and building automation systems that we have in these buildings today. So it's kind of a breakdown of what we were doing and everything of that sort. So just because of this, one of the things that we had the most difficulty was the definition of terms. So I'm on page 3 now. And there's a couple of terms I'm going to talk about. So the first one is what Unitil calls a luminaire charge. Luminaire charge is a maintenance fee that we pay directly to Unitil for each light that we have. So this is a fee that they give us. It is a fee per light, a fee per month, and you'll see that thing. Total electrical charge is you basically take the basic service plus the delivery charge, and that's your total electrical charge. Yearly luminaire charge is exactly that. Number of lights by the luminaire charge by 12 months. And then the yearly electrical charge is number of lights, electrical charge, monthly kilowatt hours times 12. All right? The last thing I wanted to do was show you a picture of what the components of a street light. So there is something on the front that they call a cobra head, and that's the thing that makes the actual light. So when we talk about converting to LEDs, that's the only part we're talking about. When we talk about buying the system, we're also getting the pole and the bracket. Oh, and the wire that goes inside of it, okay? And things like that. So when they're talking about the system, they're talking about the entire pole, the entire bracket, and everything. When they talk about just
the pole.
Not the pole, I'm sorry, not the pole, but they call it a pole still, the pole, the arm.
Oh, okay.
The arm and thing, and then the Cobra head is just where the light will be, okay? All right, so I'll go for the next page now. Any questions so far? Excellent, I like that. All right, so we'll go for the next page, and here comes the eye chart. So this is an idea of what we have today. This is what we're paying to Unitil today. We have roughly 336 lights in town. Out of those 336, 248 are these 50 watts. There's a couple of hundred, there's 100 watts, 48 watt, there's about 50, 100 watt things. And then we have some really high powered, like 200 and 400 watt bulbs. We asked Unitil why the difference. And they said, the two comments I got was, it's because of where they are, or it's because what was in there way before, we just kept on putting the same thing back. So that could be an option for us, is to save maybe a little bit more in electricity if we deem some of these lights that we're paying for are not in sections where we need these ridiculously bright bulbs. But in general, I'm just going to take you through the yearly electric charge. And if you see right now, well, let's look at the total first, which would be the bottom column all the way to the right. And we pay roughly $72,600 a year for streetlights. Out of that, $22,500 is for electricity, and $50,000 a year is for the luminaire. The maintenance, the maintenance rental, yes. I like to think of it as, it is really a rental agreement, okay? But it's a maintenance that they're gonna come out when we call them, and they're gonna fix a light, or something like that. Or if something happens, they're going to, like if they need to replace a pole, they take the light off, they put the pole in, they put the light back on. Okay, but we pay $50,000 a year for that wonderful service, okay? So bottom line is, if we do nothing, which is the next page, please. So this is, just to reiterate, this is the next page is, we pay roughly $72,500 a year, $72,600. Yearly electric charge is $22,500, and we pay roughly $50,000 a year for maintenance, okay? So all of those folks in town who have called and complained that their light's out, and it took 3 days to get it, no comment. Okay. So let's go with the next page now. So Unitil has come and said to us, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll do the LEDs for you. We're going to still maintain the system, we'll do everything for you, but we're going to convert all the heads you have today to LED heads. And when they do that, because LED, and by the way, the sizing on the LEDs are all based on a similar brightness of bulb to what we have today. So it wasn't like we're going down in the brightness of bulbs. It's not like anything's changing there. So if you look at the luminaire charges...
But you could change, at this point, you could change some of the wattage.
Well, they won't. So they're saying that they're going to put in what they had there. We would have to have a further discussion with them. However, speaking to companies, they said that the differences between the wattages and the bulbs and that, when you're buying them yourself, is very little. And you can see that here. I mean, there's a little, well, the luminaire charge, they have a huge differences. But they're saying, like, the difference between the lowest wattage bulb and the highest wattage bulb was the difference between roughly $100 and $150. Okay, if you had to buy the bulb outright. So there's not that much difference. It's mainly the electrical charges and things of that sort. So right now, if we went to LED, they're estimating the electrical charges for the year to be about $9,500. They're giving us a total charge of $41,000, which gives us a rental charge now, which went down for the new luminaires to $31,600. So we still have $31,600, or roughly, what is that? Roughly 75% of the charge for the lights is for rental.
Now,
So that's with Unitil still owning the whole system and maintaining it.
And maintaining it. That is correct.
now, is it lower because LEDs need less maintenance?
No, well, it's lower because they're saying that the cost of the bulb is less for an LED.
Okay.
So
so it's going to cost them less to take care of LEDs. So
To
they're gonna
replace
charge
it,
us
to
less.
replace an LED than it is, once if it goes out, it's going to cost them less to replace an LED than it would a high-pressure sodium.
So it saves us about 20 grand a year in maintenance.
In maintenance, that's correct. Okay, so if we go to the next page, we look at the bottom line. And so as I mentioned, the yearly charge is $41,000. Yearly electrical is about 94. Yearly maintenance charge, because they like to, the yearly luminaire charge is around 31.6. So this is giving us about a 31.6, almost the same exact as what we're paying, for maintenance. But anyway, it gives us roughly a 31.6 savings per year. So to us, this is the bare minimum that, that could be done.
Yeah, because we're done with the 72.
We're done, yes. If moving forward, that's why we're saying there's a certain sense of urgency here, because to do nothing is costing us $31,000 a year.
Right.
To do nothing. Okay, so if we go to the next page and I say, how do we get there? So to get there, Unitil has given us a cost to convert those 336 lights of $46,703, okay, and 45 cents. That is just for them to convert. And they are requiring a police detail and things like that. So they're saying, they're given a $20,000 charge, but I'm not adding that in because the police detail's there no matter what, and that's up to the Board of Selectmen to decide what the, what could be what the police detail would entail.
So the police detail is not included in the 46?
That's correct. That is correct. Okay? And like I said, I don't know if like on a side street, if you need a police detail on this, it's a matter of how you do it. And that's, like I say, up for you guys with the chief of police to work on.
Unitil doesn't, but they're going to do the conversion, right?
If they do the conversion, yes. For them to do the conversion.
If they did the conversion, wouldn't they dictate what they need for police patrols?
Well, that might be the case, but they're giving us they're giving us a $20,000. If you want to add $20,000 to that, you can.
I'm just wondering how it works.
Yeah.
If they go, like, we don't mind if you're in the middle of the road, Main Street.
Right.
Just be careful.
Well,
The department might require it in certain locations for safety reasons.
Yeah, right.
So certain locations, they might, if you're on a side road, and most of the time, from talking to folks, most of the time the truck is actually off the road.
Yeah, right.
While it's doing this. So it's not like the truck has to be in the road.
Okay,
It's-
so
yeah. So I look like Lancaster Ave, Mass Ave. Yes, I might want a police detail just because you have people staring at what's going on. But, on a side street, Sunset or something like that, does it make sense?
Right, okay.
So,
That
so
makes-
I don't know if and by the way, you could add those numbers in if you want, but they've given us an estimate of $20,000. So with the yearly savings about 31.6, we've calculated time to return on investment to be 18 months on that, which is pretty good. Year and a half, you paid off that $46,700. Okay? The next option is, next page, please, is that we purchase the lights. We purchase the lights and we maintain the infrastructure, okay? When I say that we maintain an infrastructure, I'm looking at it as we'd hire a third party to maintain the infrastructure. Now, as far as how that's done, it's the same as today. So if as a homeowner, I call Unitil and I said, I got a street light out, they're not gonna listen to me. They will only listen to Town Hall or DPW or the police department telling them a street light is out and something needs to be done. So this would not change. Still to have a citizen would have to call Town Hall, DPW, or the police department and say, I have a street light out. They're gonna look and say, oh yeah, yes, that light's out. And that's when the company would come out and do something at our choosing, okay? So I've talked to several companies and they say it's about $300 a call for them to come out. And then if you did more than one light in a shot, it's $100 for each additional light. So 3 lights, $500, something like that. So the idea would be if you could say to folks, listen, next week, or something like that, or whatever. So based on similar towns, it's roughly $5,000 a year for them to maintain their streetlights, okay? We do not have any decorative poles. We don't have anything like that. We just basically have it where we're not responsible for the telephone pole, but we're just responsible for the rest of the system. So the yearly charge is the same. If I take the $5,000 and add it to the $9,400, we get a total estimated cost of about $14,400. Okay, and I'm just going to we can use $14,400. I'll use $15,000 if you want to round up or something like that. But the estimated annual yearly savings is about $58,000. Okay, $58,000 for us to manage the infrastructure. So the question is, next page, please, is how do we get there? So Unitil has come up with a number of $90,793.21. to buy the infrastructure. I'd like to tell you guys that we've now asked Unitil for a number 3 times. Each time that number has gone up. Okay, and this is both for converting and for buying them. And what they've told me is, I've asked them for a 20-year install and removal of lights to get some history as to how old the infrastructure is and things like that. They will not furnish. They basically would not furnish that to us. So what they've told us is that every 5 years, they change out, every 5 years, a light bulb is changed out. So this way, they kind of guarantee themselves that they should never have a blown light bulb. So we're paying, the reason why the cost went up, I'm not sure, but they're basically, I guess they changed out a bunch of light bulbs, and the stuff that was 5 years old is now 0 years old, brand new, or something like that. But I could not get a direct cost from them as to what they're showing as depreciation, what they're showing for each light, what they're showing for the infrastructure, or anything of that sort. Okay. So the idea is it would cost us about $91,000 to purchase. We can utilize the Green Community Competitive Grant, because the idea on the competitive grant is you must own the streetlights in order to be able to apply for a competitive grant. So with the Unitil owning the lights, we can't use that for the LED conversion, but we could do it ourselves. So we can utilize the Green Community Competitive Grant to upgrade. It's about approximately $100,000 to upgrade, by the way. So what they're costing us to buy the lights is roughly the cost of putting in all new LED heads. It's roughly $300 a head from most companies to install that head. Now, understand that I don't have in here, we can actually go for the police detail. You can ask for the competitive grant for the police detail too, if they insisted on it. So this is actually the return on investment would be worse on the other case, but here we can actually go for the police detail too. So the yearly savings is $58,000. It's an extra month, 19 months to pay it off. So if I go to the next page, and I compare the two options, so both options provide a significant savings in electrical charges. That's about $13,000 a year just to go to LEDs. Maintenance will be handled the same. You got to call town hall, police, DPW, and they'll talk to whoever we hire to be the maintenance company for it. The big difference is in that maintenance charge. So Unitil is charging us roughly $26,500 more than a third party to maintain those lights on a yearly basis. If we own the only downfall is if we own the infrastructure, it would require us to send out to bid for a new maintenance contract every 3 years, right? Because the contract could be only up to 3 years, and every 3 years we have to send out for a new contract. So it is a little bit of extra time and a little bit and more effort to go out, solicit for bids, and to review and things of that sort. But if I look at the yearly savings, next page, please. And as I mentioned, so in year 1, we're in the hole a little bit. By the end of year 2, if we own the lights, we're already ahead by the end of year 2. At the end of year 5, by Unitil owning them, we save $140,000 in 5 years. But if we owned them, we save $320,000. At the end of 10 years, Unitil, we save $280,000. If we own them, $720,000 savings to the town in 10 years, roughly $72,000 a year. In 15 years, we would Unitil, we would save $420,000, and if we own them, $1.2 million just for us owning the lights and maintaining the light infrastructure. So,
Are you adding any inflation on the service contract, or are you just keeping that at $5,000?
I was keeping that at $5,000, but if you want to add it in, please add in 10% a year. If you want to add in 10% a year or 50%,
because it's
hard to do.
Unitil's probably going to do the same thing, so it'll still be comparatively.
Exactly. I can see the luminaire charge going up. I can see, the luminaire charge will go up probably with them. All right. So if I go for the next page and process for the town taking over, so obviously we leave, decision of what you guys would like to do, or what kind of article you like to put in. We need to bring a vote to the town meeting. We'd look to solicit RFQs to get cost estimates for conversions from third parties, and there's many of them that are very anxious to do that. Town authorization, once we have town authorization, we can, if we want, once we purchase the lights, we can have an option for a third party for maintenance in the time that it's taking us to convert to LEDs, in that time it takes us to get that competitive grant, which would not be till next year, roughly next June, that we would end up being able to get a grant. It would be next March that we would apply, and then sometime in June, we could possibly get it. And then we'd contract a third party to convert to LED, contract a third party to maintenance the lights, and now that we own them, type of thing. All right? So, basically, the green group get together, I didn't give you these slides, I didn't want to give my big finale down here, but it's the recommendation of the green group that the town proceed with purchasing the lights. Obviously, the savings per year we feel is substantial. I mean, the savings per year that we have over that $26,500 is a part-time employee to just manage anything that you want to have them do, whether it's the lights, whether it's the contracts, whatever. We encourage the town to apply for the Green Community Competitive Grant for the conversion to LED, as well as for the police detail. The additional yearly savings more than offsets the additional time necessary for third party. And the energy credits that we have that we're paying towards maintenance now, basically most of the energy credits we're using for streetlights is towards maintenance. Those energy credits can be used for other towns, schools, and buildings. And if you think about it, the energy credits we're using are our best credits. We're using our 25% credits towards streetlights, towards maintenance of the streetlights. We need to do, those 25% could be better used for town buildings, the schools, and everything else like that. And that's basically the presentation. So I'd ask that
First, I want to thank you for your thorough presentation. We've seen iterations of this, and it keeps getting better.
Thanks.
And I'm very glad we have the pricing. I mean, I'm shocked that you went with option 3. So, I mean, to me, it sounds like really, I hate the term usually, but I'll use the word no-brainer for the town to go ahead with option 3. I can't think of any negative or any desire to go to option 2, given the cost savings and everything else. So I appreciate, I don't know if is anybody here from the Green Committee Task Force with you?
I have John here with me, who's...
Thank you to John then. And
things
your
like that.
third member.
Yes.
I'll open it up to the floor if anybody has any questions.
Sure, Mr. Chair, I do have a question. I may have missed it. Do we have a quote on the amount it will cost to do the installation?
So we had an initial quote, but I've talked to several contractors just in conversations because to bring them out, but it's roughly $300 per light to change them over. So it's
The
roughly...
total amount of lights,
It's 336, so it's $100,800 if you figure it that
the
way.
installation? And does the third party handle, like, the light order, the packaging, the...
Yes, yes. And in fact, if that third party is the one you contract for the maintenance, they would actually, what they recommend is you purchase a couple of extra heads. So this way they have one when they're coming out, they have one on the truck. If it's more than just a bulb, if they have to change the head, they can just do it right then and there. And that would actually be a savings for us. So they would, what they were thinking is they can just change a head quickly, bring it back, make sure the head works, change out the bulb or something like that. Do that all, not while the truck is sitting in the middle of the road.
And do towns have any trouble getting the availability for a third-party contractor? Because I feel like that becomes the mystery of it, is so long as somebody's available, if all of a sudden we own it and we can't find the staffing or the expertise to care for it, it's not, can you turn back to Unitil and be like, do you want to buy our lights? Or are you stuck? Like, what happens?
I mean, I don't have that answer for you. But however, there are many contractors that are doing this right now. So there's actually a third party, this gentleman that would actually maintain the system and hire the contractors for us. But then that's the cost of his charge on top of the maintenance charge. So
How much would that be?
he didn't give me an exact number on it, but he was roughly like $10,000 for him to kind of put it all together for us, type of thing.
And sort of be in charge ongoing?
Well, it would be ongoing, yes. So his firm does, I think he was telling me 34,000 lights in Massachusetts and 26,000 lights in Rhode Island and X amount of lights in New Hampshire.
So he contracts with some different communities to handle that.
So it's like an
for them.
agent.
He's like an agent, but he's hiring a local contractor to come and be the maintenance for those.
You could also just hire a local
I have
contractor.
That is correct.
Question for Heather, in terms of from the town perspective, who manages all this now outsourced management? And do we have a plan for that? Because communicating with whomever this is, and if we lose the contract or they leave us, how do we renegotiate? It's like, you see the things like we don't have enough CDL drivers and we're trying to fill voids here and there, and what happens if, does this become more work for you, and what's your take on it?
Yes. So I too want to thank the Green Communities Task Force. They've done thorough, excellent job of getting the information, all the questions, meeting with National Grid, talking to different parties. So they've put a lot of time and effort into this as well. I think on paper, it looks really good and attractive option. From managing the town from operationally standpoint, this will certainly add extra work for myself as procurement officer, for the DPW, because that's the natural department that it would fall under. And as you know, we've repeated that we are short-staffed in the Department of Public Works. So there is an added cost. I see this adding potential need for man-hours as well, so a personnel cost.
And I have
So-
sorry.
I was just saying, maybe it makes sense then to contract someone, an agent, to do it for us. Because, you add a person, you get benefits, you get retirement. I mean, adding a person is a lot of money. We have an assistant town manager. Maybe she could do that.
To do what? Manage if a light was out, to...
Do the agent work.
I have a question about the
Just calling
contractors
somebody
who
up to
do the work.
fix the line.
Is there any licensing or who can do the work? Like,
So-
do they
so-
have to be like,
You need to be a licensed Massachusetts state contractor for that.
for that?
Right.
Okay.
That is correct.
Okay, so there's a highly specific group of
Yes.
people that can do this activity. Like, I
there's-
have a bucket truck in my yard, I'll go change that light, like,
Well, if you were a licensed electrician, yes, we could hire you to do it, but
And when the project happens, does it have to be all like, does anybody we have to pull permits to do it? Like what part, like electrically speaking, like what part of?
That piece, I don't know the answer
yeah,
to.
nobody's
I'm sure
really,
it does,
yeah, we
but-
haven't delved with that because Unitil made no mention of having to pull permits. When we
Well,
did.
they're already there, so I'm just saying with
Well,
it
no,
being a new
they would
project.
still, if they're changing heads, they're like any electrician. So they would have, I would think that we would, if we required permits, they would have to pull permits. We did have a third party present to us about a couple of years ago now, and they didn't mention anything about the permits. I think the permits are more like in the building structures and things like that. I don't know. I'll hesitate. I
So
don't
does
really know.
Unitil remove their pole and light, and then we
No.
put a new one, or we're
Nope, they
buying
want-
that from them?
We're buying all their equipment.
Once we buy it, we own their equipment. So even if we did nothing and just went with a third party to maintain them, we could have a substantial savings.
If we can get it all organized.
Right.
Right.
I just see a lot, we have these odd things that come where we can't get certain things organized because we don't have people. And I just look at the peace of mind that we know it's being done by Unitil.
So understand though, if you called up Unitil, right? Okay, maybe yourself as a Board of Selectmen member, you might get somebody to do something.
I have to pull
But
for anything.
if I called up Unitil and said, my street light is out, nothing happens. It has to be somebody from the town from the town management that calls Unitil today for them to react to anything.
But for the citizen, the experience will be the same.
Exactly. And for the town, it's the same. It's just you're calling a third party versus calling Unitil.
But we're responsible for that
The
contract
only
versus,
addition I see is the negotiating of the contract.
That's correct.
And
Over, and contract administration, if there's a problem with
Yes.
the vendor, it's making sure they're abiding by all the terms of the contract. If something goes wrong, there's breach of contract, there's issues that come up during a term with a vendor, a third party.
Yeah, but that's
which make-
quantifiable, right? I
Which
mean,
makes
No.
having an
That's
agent.
That's not quantifiable?
I can't hypothesize how much that
No, I
time
mean,
it
but we
would
have similar
cost.
contracts. We have contracts,
We
the sewer department has contracts with people who take care of the pumps. We have contract with waste management, so we do that kind of stuff, and that's town-wide. So, I mean, we have some kind of template. Is it going to be exact? No, but I mean, it's not totally dissimilar. It's something that we could come up with a range of how much time it takes to do that. No?
Or you could come up with just hiring an agent to start out with for $10,000 a year, and having
Right.
someone else take care of it for you. You're still making, it still saves you a lot of money.
It's still saving quite a bit of money. And you can then see what it's going to look like, I mean, at times. So, and the other side, I would look have we had an issue with, with a contractor, somebody we contracted, how difficult was it to work through that issue?
Well, we've never had like this type of contracting, so.
But like Tom said, we do contract.
Yeah, the people who do the pumps on the sewer
Another
system.
question,
Sure.
Unitil is always sort of open to this idea of buying or selling their lights to the
Oh,
communities.
they haven't been excited about it, no, I would not say that. They're not excited about it because
I'm
obviously it's a huge revenue for them.
I'm just wondering about the option to go to LED, which clearly I think makes sense,
Right.
just environmentally. And then if we purchased them some other time, they'd already be converted.
No, however, the purchase of, so Unitil is not $300 a light. So if you look at it, I can't do the math off my top of my head, but if you take $46,000 that they want to convert, divided by 336, hold on. My calculator's not that good, so.
That's a lot less.
Plus, we wouldn't be able to apply for the grant, right? Because you need to own them,
Right.
Right.
so there'd be no grant opportunity.
Yeah, so they're charging around roughly $137 a light just to change themselves. And yes, you're absolutely right. We cannot apply for a grant for that. We are completely on the hook for that.
But we don't have the price for what it would cost once we took over the project. We have just data from what it cost other communities. That's the part I think that I'm a little stuck on is there will be a cost and we don't know it.
So if I look at another town, so Fitchburg has gone LED, okay? And Fitchburg has averaged on a light.
Does Fitchburg own their?
Own their lights. Fitchburg owns their lights. So
So-
they have at least 10 times more lights than us.
Now,
okay?
they also worked with Unitil?
No.
Is it apples and apples? Oh.
No, they
Meaning
own,
they are in
No,
the
no.
Unitil territory.
Yeah.
they're in the
they
Unitil
were-
territory. Yes,
They
that's
bought
correct.
it from.
So they had to
bought
do
it from
all of
Unitil.
this with Unitil?
Yes, they
Okay.
bought it from Unitil, and their low yearly cost has been $15,000, and their high yearly cost has been like $45,000. And that's because they have decorative streetlights that when somebody hits the pole, it costs them $12,000 for a new pole. Okay, we don't have that. And so if you look at the numbers and you're looking at that and saying, okay, somebody hit the pole 3 times a year, it's, the numbers kind of add up to where they're saying roughly this $5,000 for this maintenance thing. And it's the same company that's doing Fitchburg is one of the ones I talked to, and they'd be very excited because it's the next town over. They're bringing a truck out.
So now where are they located?
They're in, I'm not sure of the town, but I think they're in Boston somewhere. They're all over the place. They go everywhere from the Cape to Manhattan to out to Western Mass and things
But
like
it would
that.
certainly be advantageous to do Lunenburg and Fitchburg.
For them, it is.
Right.
But, for us, it might not be. However, that's the idea. And, the other idea is that if we end up standardizing on the light we had, then it's even easier because you have them only holding on to one style bulb. How many bulbs go out a month? And if you look at an LED, so the other side of it is an LED, I'm giving you these maintenance things, but an LED is 10 years on a bulb. So you should get 10 years on a bulb. The first few years, you might have a few that are a little funky, and if they're not under warranty, but you might have to you still have to pay for the bucket to come and change them. But the fact of the matter is, it's that, you should be able to get 10 years of low maintenance charges out of this before you have anything on these things.
You know how you mentioned the kilowatts different on some of the lights?
Yes.
Is it still physically the same? So can you,
So
take a 10 kilowatt out and put a 20 kilowatt in or vice versa? Or is it a different housing?
It's roughly the same housing on all of them.
So it's easy to convert?
Yeah, if I can go to...
To change your mind?
Yes. Yeah, so it's the same head that they use. It's basically, everybody
Cobra.
talks about a Cree head is the most standard one, and it's a standard head where you can go anywhere from a 18-watt bulb to LED bulb to like a 100-watt LED bulb.
Okay.
So you can make this thing look like the surface of the sun. if you want, outside. But and the other abilities then is if you wanted, you could have, choose to dim or not dim and things like that as you go. And this.
Can you decide, is it all or nothing? Can you say, these three don't really do anything, we don't want them?
Well, there's two options here we have. So we have certain things, like if you go coming on Reservoir Road, as you go through the bridge by Keating, there's 3 lights on that road right there, on that curve. Do we need 3? And we can make a choice there, or you can choose to put a light somewhere else. I mean, it might be a more charge for that, but maybe this opens a possibility for, I don't know, for a homeowner that says, I'd like to get a street light. They have a one-shot, say, maybe $1,000 charge or something like that, because they're paying for the electrical to be redone and everything else, but maybe it's a chance for folks who want to put a light on their street to get it done.
So I'd go back to Heather with who manages where they are, where they'd change to be, who's requesting them, just from a town management point of view, all of the needs that are created by owning it, who manages the input that comes in. That's where I'm.
Yeah, there really haven't been any changes that I know of that since I came here. But typically they're public safety reasons. So if there's an intersection or something where they need additional.
So the DPW already would communicate with
Right,
Unitil.
with the police
So there's somebody at
department. Yeah.
DPW who could manage that information, even if the town owned the lights, who's already
As far as
where they
a
are
citizen
and.
who is interested in putting a new
No,
light in,
just
or
where they are located, who chose it and who would manage where they are.
Would the Green Communities Group have spend any time looking at the streetlights to see which ones?
We have not. I mean, we're a small group. We haven't. In fact, one of the things we thought about, there's somebody that actually you could hire them to even go and do an audit,
Yeah,
drive
right,
around
exactly.
and look to make sure all the lights we are paying for are working. Because there might be lights that are out that nobody called about that we're paying for that,
I like the audit idea.
Okay. However, we haven't done anything like that. And there's different things you can do. Like, if we contracted somebody, we can maybe have it where if there's 3 lights in a row, they changed them to 3 different bulb size, and we can look to see which one we like, or things of that sort. There's a lot of, options for us as we
I
look
think
to do it.
it's that, an audit is timely, because if you're going to do it, you might as well try to do it right.
Right. So the only question we had was more of understanding where all the lights were, what size of the light was at each one. And I did look at my records. I do have that sheet you had of the 336 lights and what locations up. We haven't been able to spend the time to drive around
town.
and all that stuff. I was waiting for the weather to get nicer so I can put the top down and all that
What
stuff.
are you looking from us tonight?
So I'm not as much tonight. I'm looking for you guys. I wanted to present the data.
Yep.
And let you guys talk, but we're looking for, what you would like for a recommendation. We'd like to bring something to town meeting.
This town meeting.
That's correct.
Well, we have 6 days to get it to this town meeting.
Okay.
You
We'd
are
have
asking
it
us something
tonight.
tonight. Even unbeknownst to you, you're asking us something.
Okay, I thought that you had a little bit longer for the warrant to be
Yeah,
finished.
we have 6 days. We
Okay,
have a little bit longer than tonight.
Okay,
This is our last meeting before it closes.
okay.
So you'd like to see it on the annual town meeting?
I'd like to see a line item in the annual town meeting to do something.
Yes. So
Okay, so that's
that would
correct.
be, let the record show that the witness said yes. I'd like to see something on this town meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
I really feel like we've kicked it quite a few times.
No, I'm
and-
agreeing with you. I just
Yeah.
didn't know that,
Yes,
and obviously you didn't know what exactly the timeline was as far as the ask.
right. Yeah, I got an extra 2 weeks for the green grant, so I was all excited. Okay, so, but yes, I'm looking for something on town meeting, to present this to the citizens.
And your recommendation from the Green Group, as you are so calling it,
Yes.
is option 3.
Yes. We figured if we can call ourselves the Green Gang because it's a strict gang of 3 official, but,
Things
it's.
have a certain connotation.
Yes,
I'd
exactly.
say with Green Group.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it can be the Green Man Group, like the
Yes.
Blue Man Group.
Well, we do have a female member, so I can't be,
Oh,
I gotta be
all
politically
right.
correct these days.
Do
I
you have
can't
an
be.
article available to put on here? Is it written? Can we get one written?
no, we had one for the fall, and I can read how it was worded. Hold on a second. Because it was removed before the warrant was finalized.
I will open it up to you, Mr. Passios,
Do you want me to read the article?
in a second.
Okay.
So let her read, come up, but we're going to read the article first.
Okay.
to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds a sum of money for the purpose of converting the town's existing streetlights to energy-efficient and long-lasting LED fixtures.
So we would change converting to converting and owning, I'm guessing, because converting. would be
Converting and
option two.
purchasing?
Is it-
Purchasing.
Oh, purchase, oh, you didn't say purchase, okay.
So could I, yeah, so is it a either or that we can have a town meeting, or, and then the recommendation being a town meeting?
Sure.
That's a
well,
good
we could-
idea, to
we could
be able
strike
to
it, We
convert,
could strike
yeah.
one, we could strike purchase, if it's needed, we could leave it like it is, and if town meeting, if you do this presentation,
And the town's
in
yelling
an
at?
abbreviated form,
Oh, thanks.
and we did option 2 and 3, somebody could always strike purchase and just go to convert, which would limit it to option
And you
2.
should put, how much money you're talking about, don't
We
you
would
think?
at the,
Oh, okay, but it sounded like
again,
she
this
said
is-
a sum of money as opposed to putting an amount in the
Well,
warrant.
so there is a estimated, you can only put an estimated amount, because the day you convert is when Unitil's going to decide what the cost was.
You could say-
Changes.
You could say not to exceed, or...
No, you cannot say that, because if they determine that they change one more bulb on us, it's going to go up again. So you can't set a line in the sand for them to say,
Well,
okay.
but the warrant needs, I believe the warrant needs to reflect kind of what we're talking about in terms of dollars.
Right, so, yeah.
You know, can't say a sum of money and somebody thinks it's $3,000 and it's 90 grand. You know, people need to understand.
Okay, so
What we're talking about.
the
So
numbers
what could
I've
we
given
do?
are the latest numbers from Unitil as of a month ago. Okay, those numbers were different as of
Mm-hmm.
6 months ago, and they were different as of a year ago, it's 18 months ago. So that's the only thing, and each time they've gone up.
and we will work out the legality of the
Yes,
writing of
okay,
town
sorry,
council.
I just-
We can do
yeah.
that.
That's the unfortunate.
Mr. Passios.
Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street. As with many committees, I've been following this for at least the last 3 years and attended as many meetings as possible. I think they've done a fantastic job in vetting all possibilities. I actually made a contact at the MMA conference that Dave has been in touch with that has helped him along with some of the information on the outside management part of it. And I really suggest that you go with their recommendation. Kicking it down to the Unitil doing the job because of the DPW supposedly not being able to take on the extra work, I don't think holds water, because most of what's required is already being done. There's going to be virtually nothing added that isn't already being done. Yes, the town manager is going to have one more or maybe two more contracts to manage and rewrite every 3 years, but that's little compared to the savings that we're going to see if we do the purchase. Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion about putting this on as read by the town manager, putting it on the annual town meeting warrant.
I would make a motion that we put an article on the town meeting warrant, similar to what the town manager read, barring any input from council, but that's the gist.
We have a second.
I would second it, because I think it'd be interesting to see what the town thought, and I'd be comfortable with either one.
Any further discussion? All those,
I'd just like to make sure that there's an amount of money in the warrant.
again, we will do what is required. We can't put something, as he said, if Unitil comes up with the final price when we do it, so
Right.
we have to be cautious about that, and we'll work with town council to get
Yeah, I
that.
was-
But I appreciate your point.
We could look at it as based on Unitil's estimate as of blah, blah, blah date. Okay, so that's the best I can
Yeah,
offer at
right.
this point, because, like I say, each time we do it, somehow it goes up.
Okay.
I thought things are supposed to depreciate, but not lights, obviously.
Well, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Thank you again to you and
Aye.
the Green Communities Group Committee.
My pleasure. And by the way, anybody who's interested in the Green Group, we don't meet that often. We just meet for a few times, and usually this time of year, but we're looking for more members, and I make sure the meetings end by 8 o'clock.
You know,
Excellent.
thank you for all you've already done, because for 3 people to save, you know, $350,000 and whatnot, it's pretty impressive, so.
We keep trying. So. Yeah, and like I say, emphasize, we need projects for the town.
All right.
I like the kitchen idea.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Interviews, appointments, and reappointments. We have two members being proposed for the Agricultural Commission, an associate member to expire June 30th. That is Kira McClellan. And, well, let's take them one at a time. Hello.
Hi, Kara McClellan. Live on Holman Street. I don't know what else you need to know.
Just a little bit about yourself, why you want to join the Agricultural
Well,
Commission?
I work at the Farmers Exchange in Townsend, so I know a lot of people, everyone who has livestock anyway, a lot of people who garden. I do pet sitting mainly for livestock, so I know like everyone in this town and the surrounding town that has goats, chickens, anything, water plants, so I feel like I could suggest things to other
Okay.
people to make agriculture more important in town.
Have you met with the commission?
Yeah, I went to the meeting last month. I've gone to a few sporadically, but, you know, life gets ahead of me.
It does.
I
Things
hear that.
happen.
Well, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
No, I was just going to make a motion that we appoint Kira. Do you pronounce it?
Yep.
Before we do, does Agriculture Commission, did you take a vote on? What is it?
There's a email. in
Yeah,
the-
but we have a member here.
Okay.
Yes. Greg Burns, 13 Oak Ave. Yes, we did take a vote for Kira and for Mary Ray, who was also here, to appoint them.
So I won't ask you for the next one then, so thank you.
No, so you're all set.
Yeah, I'm all set.
I'm done.
I appreciate that. Do I have a second on Mrs. Adams' motion?
Oh, I didn't, I,
I thought you made the
it was
motion.
partially made.
Okay, sorry.
So I would make a motion for Kira to the Agricultural Commission as a member, term to expire June 30th, 2022.
Associate member.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Congratulations. Good luck on the commission.
And thank you for volunteering.
Yes. And Mary Ray Holman is applicant for Agricultural Commission full member, term to expire June 30th, 2022. Welcome.
Mary Ray Holman, 214 Elmwood Road. I have grown up in Lunenburg my whole life in the agricultural community. I have been a member of 4-H for 10 years in my youth. I have a veterinary science degree with an equine concentration. I now have a 4-H club here in town, and I have been a manager of Low Places Ranch for the past 4 years. We have a horse farm on Goodrich Street, and we just opened a livestock feed and supply company store on Leominster Shirley Road.
Wow. I would say that qualifies as Agricultural Commission.
Yeah.
As with Kira, I want to thank you for volunteering. We've already gotten the Agricultural Commission's vote, so thank you, Greg.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I will make a motion to appoint Mary Ray to the Agricultural Commission as a member, term to expire June 30th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you.
Thank
None.
you for volunteering.
Good luck to both
Good
of you.
luck.
Town manager report.
Announcement of existing vacancies. The Agricultural Commission now has 2 alternate vacancies due to the 2 appointments tonight. The Americans with Disabilities Act Commission has 1 vacancy. The Architectural Preservation District Commission has 1 vacancy. The Finance Committee has 1 vacancy. The Open Space Committee has 1 vacancy. The Planning Board has 1 vacancy. And the Zoning Board of Appeals has 2 associate vacancies. And talent bank forms can be attained on the website or the Board of Selectmen's office, and also submitted to the Board of Selectmen's office.
Also a good time to point out that some of these could be filled at Town Caucus next Monday, like the
that's
elected
right.
ones.
Excellent.
Yep.
Board of Health information on the coronavirus. Another update from the Board of Health was issued and has been shared on the website, town Facebook page, emailed to the townwide listserv, and to the Ledger. And any further updates will be shared through these sources as well. Active shooter trainings. The active shooter training at the town hall was very informative, and some recommendations to address vulnerabilities have been put into motion. I want to thank Chief Marino and the police department staff that conducted the training, including Sergeant Connery, Sergeant Toshi, Sergeant Zarate, Officer Milnicki, Officer Wagner, and Officer Russell. And these trainings will also be taking place at other town buildings at dates to be determined. The Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Planning Grant. The kickoff meeting with our consultant, CEI, was held on Monday, March 9th. The Land Use Director will be sending out a poll, which actually went out today, to all the individuals and groups that our consultant has recommended to be part of the MVP planning workshop on potential dates to hold this workshop. Initially, we thought it best to break this up into 2 4-hour sessions, but our consultant recommended that we would have a better product by making it one session, as each portion of the workshop builds upon the previous portion. We hope to schedule this in March or the beginning of April in order to be able to apply for project funding, which should be released sometime in April. After the planning workshop, there will be a public listening session to hear the results of the planning workshop. Financial updates. As relayed to the board in an email on March 4th, we received the Money Tech assessment for fiscal '21, and it is approximately $92,000 more than the estimate we have in our budget. Our budget had an estimated 2.5% increase, and the actual assessment is a 14.3% increase. The finance director is looking at the overlay account that is used to cover abatements and exemptions to see if we can reduce the estimate for fiscal '21.
I know that there are 7 new students. What is the cost per pupil?
That was in all the documents that were shared with the Selectmen and Finance Committee. I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Because that's going to be a significant amount of the increase.
The driving force was not only our increase of 7 students, but it was the minimum contribution as required by the state.
So their own foundation
Right.
budget? Okay.
Right. We were the largest increase out of the 18 towns.
Were we did we add the most students?
I didn't look at numbers for other towns.
It's very good news that we have 7 more students going. It's a great program.
Just a point of information that the business manager pointed out, there's the same number of students in the Lunenburg Public Schools for both years. So it's not a reduction in the Lunenburg Public School total number. It's an addition to going to Money Tech. So it could be school choice. There's a number of possibilities for that.
Yeah, but there's 7 kids from Lunenburg, 7 more kids from Lunenburg going to Monty Tech. It's a great program.
It is a good program, absolutely.
Fiscal '21 Town Council Retainer. At the end of this fiscal year, we have completed 3 years with Mead, Tallerman, and Costa, providing town council services. During this 3 years, we have not seen an increase in our retainer agreement, and Mead, Tallerman, and Costa is proposing an amendment to the agreement with them that would increase our monthly retainer by $455 a month. This fee increase is proposed to adjust for inflation since 2017 and based on their effective hourly rates, which they track on a month-by-month basis. That's calculated by taking the retainer amount by the billable hours for each month. I've asked Attorney Costa to send an amended agreement, but my recommendation is to continue services with MTC at the proposed retainer fee that increases the average hourly rate by $10.95 an hour. I've reviewed the legal expense account, and, sorry, I got some pop-up. And we have sufficient funds based on last year's and projected expenses for this year, and also based on that we'll have only be negotiating one collective bargaining agreement next year with our labor council. So that's the other portion of what's paid out of the legal expense line.
So you're changing the hourly rate, and they want to do the monthly. So where do they line up? What is the comparison by your estimations?
They're changing the retainer amount.
Right.
Right, which is they calculate their effective hourly rate. And so it's an additional, what we pay on an average now, it would be an increase of $10.95 an hour. If you looked at it, calculated out by
Right.
number of billable hours
So
over the
it's the
course of the year.
Same increase, you're just showing it in two different ways.
Right, and there's actually in the drive is, it says effective hourly rates, Lunenburg MTC. And it's a spreadsheet that, it's so hard to see.
So if the average hourly rate is increasing by $10.95 an hour, how much is it an hour?
It will fluctuate because we have a retainer agreement, so it all depends. They track it by month because billable hours, they track how many hours.
So if our monthly retainer is increasing $455 a month, that's 455 plus what?
Times 12.
Oh, so the retainer is,
That's
our
a
monthly
monthly-
retainer
right.
is growing to $455 a month, not increasing by $550 a month.
No, it's
No, it
increasing by-
increased, so it's plus 400, so
So
450.
what,
It's-
what
the
what was
increase
the
is from
raise?
60 right now,
6,500.
6,500 to 6,955.
Right.
6,955.
7%.
I can't believe it's been 3 years.
I know it.
I know. Goes fast.
You know, I would like to, at this time, again mention that I think we should consider moving Labor Council, because I know that we spend a lot of money with Labor Council, and maybe if we went with Mead, Kellerman, and Costa for Labor Council as well, there'd be some savings there.
There might be savings on that end, but because who we have it has done well with negotiations and understands everything so well, the outcomes of the contracts, I feel more confidence in being with the party who's been doing them.
I disagree. I'm not particularly.
And I don't know, because it's usually an executive session, can't get into examples and anything like that, but I feel like he really understands and has a lot of history, and I think the savings on good negotiations could far outweigh a little bit of wage change in an attorney cost.
I totally agree with that concept, but I don't feel the same way as you do about Labor Council.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's a part of this, though, right? So we'll just...
I'm just saying, you know, we're talking about legal, and we definitely, I mean, I love that we moved to Mead, Kellerman, and Costa. I think they've done a great job for us. I'm very confident in them, and I think making that move was really beneficial. So I'd like to see the town make a move in Labor Council as well, because I think that would be beneficial.
So MTC is going to be providing us with a new contract.
Yeah. They actually did. I received it after I wrote my report. So it's in the Google Drive. And the only change is changing that
And
retainer
you
amount.
recommend going with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they do an excellent job
Well, we'll review that and we'll come up with a
for
determination.
town council services.
When do we have to, when does it expire? When do we have to know?
So they would like this to go into effect in July 1.
Right, so we have a
We've
few
got
weeks.
time.
Okay.
And is it another 3-year term?
There's no
There's
term
no-
on it.
Okay.
So
we just haven't they haven't requested a change
Right,
in
in
the
3
3
years.
years. Okay.
It's not something we're required to go out to bid for.
Yep.
Career Expo at Moneytech. Moneytech is having a Career Expo on Tuesday, April 28th, and I have signed up to have a table to meet with students about a career in municipal government. So, and I offered that to the department heads, if any of them wanted to join me at that as well.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Tuesday.
And that's our last Tuesday, right?
Yes.
So I'd be, if it's of any benefit, I would offer to join you if you want.
Okay.
But
Sign up.
They make a great lunch over there.
Oh, when is it, at night or during the day?
It's 4 to 7.
Oh.
Oh, okay, so I can try it.
Okay. Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company Tree Trim Program. The Tennessee Gas Pipeline is currently undergoing its tree trim program on their right-of-way in the town of Lunenburg, and there's a map provided in your Google Drive to show the location of the pipeline. Periodically, they need to clear their right-of-way trees that have either grown within the right-of-way or are growing over the top of the right-of-way. They must maintain an open view from the sky in order to view the pipeline by slow-moving aircraft, and also to have a clear view from one ground marker to the next marker when standing in the right-of-way. This was done a number of years ago in the northern section of the pipeline through Lunenburg to Fitchburg, and the section that is currently being worked on is the line between Lunenburg and Leominster. They have contacted all relevant landowners, and there are no environmental issues on the 8 parcels they are working on. And right now, they're working on Lancaster Ave. Department head updates. The library is getting new shelving at the tween room, and that will be paid through a grant from Hannaford's. The treasurer collector is working on unclaimed checks and will be advertising the list as required by Mass General Law. 12,000 motor vehicle bills went out and are due March 23rd. The Council on Aging, the new van driver started and is working out very well, according to the Council on Aging director. The Eagle House is busy with their variety of programs and events throughout the week. The new HVAC system is up and running in the older section of the building and is working well. The Police Association is planning an annual car show, their annual car show in June, and we'll be trying to bring in more food vendors this year. And the PD Critical Response Team is coordinating trainings at each of the town buildings, and then we'll go to larger commercial businesses in town as well. The police department has put a lot of time into cases recently, such as a bank robbery case that spanned multiple communities and a drive-by shooting. So thank you to the police department for good police work.
Absolutely.
Now, did they know when the car show was scheduled?
It's typically, I think, the third Wednesday.
Right?
Yeah, they'll be coming before the board. Look at calendar and might be able to tell you. I think it's the 17th. But I can confirm that.
Thanks.
Public Access is working on getting the third channel for education up and running. The cable manager has been working with the IT director on possible video conference solutions that meet remote participation guidelines. PAC received the Media Award from the Salvation Army for a public service announcement they did in September. The YouTube live feed was taken down by YouTube with the reason that it violated community standards. The cable manager filed an appeal to YouTube and received notice that the appeal was rejected. And so I will keep the board updated with any changes on that.
I'll come back and ask you that on that in a second.
Okay. The IT director is working with PAC's consultant on possible remote participation solutions, as it would involve PAC's equipment. The solution will require additional hardware and training for videographers. The finance director is sending out emails to departments about reimbursable grants to make sure all reimbursement requests are submitted in time for the closeout of the fiscal year, and is reviewing all previous capital projects with department heads to close out balances if the projects are completed. The land use director reported that the earth removal public meeting is on March 9th, and the planning board is still working on the stormwater bylaw. The Howard Street developer is looking to alter the Howard Street property from 122 houses to 500 one-bedroom rental units. And the planning board has another meeting with the proctors on March 9th, which it was relayed today that that's now continued to the 23rd, I believe, March 23rd, for their stormwater permit. The MVP kickoff meeting will be held on, or was held on March 9th, so this department head meeting was before March 9th, obviously, with certain department heads that make up the core team. In other meetings and events or other announcements, the Green Communities Task Force will be meeting this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. I'll be attending the TCP Design Building Committee meeting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at the Ritter, and the Finance Committee meeting on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at Town Hall. And the Finance will be hearing presentations from the school and the DPW. A reminder that the warrant closes on Monday, March 16th at 4 p.m., and Finance will hold their public hearing on the budget on Thursday, March 26th at 6:30 p.m. Citizens Party Caucus will be Monday, March 16th at 7 p.m. in the Turkey Hill Elementary School cafeteria. And the special state representative election will be March 31st from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the TC Passios building. And reminder that dog licenses are due by April 1st to the town clerk's office.
So just, do we have any more information about the YouTube channel? Did they indicate what community standards? I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube. I find it hard to believe they have any community standards, but what community standards that we violated?
I believe it's the bulletins that would appear between segments, and that's what was violated. That's what I've been told.
The announcements?
Yes.
The scroll?
Yeah.
Oh, was it a
is-
copyright issue?
Yeah, that as well, yeah.
Okay, well, that at least I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm also trying to, with this remote participation, I'm trying to organize a meeting with myself, the town manager, the IT director, and town council, just talk about what is required of the remote participation, what are the obstacles, and I will report back to the board once we have that, just to see what are the challenges in getting that implemented.
Great, thank you. Now, what's the address of the Proctor's stormwater permit?
1325?
25, yeah.
13 Mass Ave? It's
Yep.
that,
That's
The earth removal permit.
oh, okay, so it's a stormwater permit, so I didn't know.
Yeah, and it went to, it now
Well,
needs site
you're
plan.
mixing up two things. So the planning board had an open, a public, was it a hearing? It wasn't a hearing, it was a
No.
public commentary, right?
Public input
Public
session.
Public input on their modification that's in the annual town meeting about earth removal permits in general, not about the Proctor application, but earth removal permits as a bylaw. And
No.
then,
Yeah, go
and then they heard from the Proctor application at 1325 Mass Ave about the stormwater application permit for that earth removal process application that they are going through.
Okay, thank you.
Another quick update I got after my report. The chief checked in with Mass DOT to see where that process stood with the intersection. She said, "We recently received traffic counts for this location, and the determination of traffic signal modifications at this location is currently under review by district traffic staff. We hope to complete our review of this location within the next month. At this time, it is not clear whether changes to the signal timing and phasing are feasible without a larger project."
And who is that?
This
Mass
is Mass DOT. So we'll continue to prod Mass DOT and.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so, current business, discussion of notice of right of first refusal for the following Chapter 61 properties. So do we have any news on any of these four?
There in the Google Drive is a number of documents. So the planning board discussed them at their meeting on Monday night. And there's a memo from the land use director on 3 of the properties. Get that. If I can find it. So that it has followed the procedure as set forth by the, which replicates Mass General Law as far as the submittals. They've been forwarded to the appropriate parties. This is not, we haven't reached the 30 days yet, but according to our policy, the board meets 2 weeks prior to the 30-day timeframe. And
Can you run through the time frame part of it again?
so when we receive a fully complete submittal or right of first refusal request, they have to meet all the parameters as set forth in Mass General Law, which is outlined in the policy that's in the drive. And then we send it to town council for review to make sure it does meet all those criteria. So he reviews it, confirms, and then the clock actually starts from the date on the notice, as long as it met all the criteria, whatever date was on the notice on the envelope, the postmarked date.
So not date received, but.
Right, not date received, which is unfortunate.
You have the date for each property?
So,
Yeah.
has that threshold been met on all these four?
Yes.
Because I see one that there's a kind of a discrepancy on 300 Holman, but on one of these.
The planning board had questions, which the land use director contacted me to see if he could talk to town council, which, of course, he did today, and there's a email from him about those questions. And it does meet, even with contingencies in that, it's a bona fide offer.
Okay, so these are all on the clock then?
Yes.
Okay, so have we gotten any indication, because the 120 days is gone if we don't do it on annual town meeting, unless we call a special town meeting, which we'd like to avoid. Has any of the relevant boards and committees and commissions weighed in on the suitability for the town of any of these?
Unfortunately, Open Space didn't meet about any of them, which their input, they're the ones who've really studied the opportunity of purchasing things, and Conservation hasn't met on them yet. So I think the only input, other than us being here, was the planning board. I read the email in here, and I feel like there was more to 300 Holman Street than is addressed in the email in terms of there weren't any engineered plans associated with, and there, I think it was like a small amount of acreage versus the deed that's mentioned is 134 acres, and there's a part in there they were talking about that said, and we may need more land. There was some vagaries that I feel like.
I think the other question, because the land use
answered.
director told me, was whether it had a stamped plan. And so if you look at our policy, the requirement is a survey of land, or in parentheses, or map if survey is unavailable. And I talked to town council this afternoon about that further, that the language in the Mass General Law is that the plan has to be drawn on a scale to the assessor's maps. So it doesn't have to be an engineered.
It was about the part where it mentions the deeded piece of property is like 134 acres, and it mentions per said deed. The deed that goes with this parcel is like 134 acres. The piece they're turning over, was it 8 or something like that, or 5, a smaller piece, but there was wording in there that said, for the purposes of wells and so on and so forth, it may be for a larger amount, but it didn't define how large or where, and there was no lines or bounds drawn. So there's, the property, the deeded piece of property is actually like 134 acres. So there's some nuance with this piece in terms of if it might be something the town would want, if it was better understood exactly how much is going now and when, and those things aren't answered because they can't be, because they weren't.
Yeah. I know the land use director had an extensive conversation with town council today, and all those contingency portions.
Not the contingencies, the deed, that the piece of property is for 134 acres, and they didn't clearly define which piece was being turned over. There was it was vague, and that's the part that's confusing about bringing it out of chapter. There's no engineered drawing showing what's coming out of chapter. That feels too vague. Did we get a hand raise? Okay.
But end result, council said this is a bona fide offer. So if the town, this is
for what piece? I guess that's what I'm just wondering. I think this goes beyond us. It's just in terms of, maybe I have questions for the state with things coming out of chapter, but they didn't define what's coming out, and I feel like they should.
Right, but our town council has reviewed it and said that according to the criteria of Chapter 61, removal from chapter, that it meets those criteria. That's.
I understand, and town council once said that the board didn't violate open meeting law, and then the attorney general said they did. So it's okay to question and think. There's not a be-all and end-all, and there's some.
So we should hire another attorney?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So how should we get this reviewed then? You have a discrepancy, so what is your resolution to the discrepancy?
To just be respectful to my question about the deed. I mean, I don't think you are following what I'm thinking, so it's not necessary to be critical of it, but this is a 134-acre piece of land that does touch conservation and et cetera. We have no input from open space. I wish that we did. And it doesn't define in the plans that are drawn and in the description what piece is coming out of chapter. It's very vague, and it leaves unknowns, and to me, I mean, there's a reason, I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah. So the board has additional time to vote on the first right of refusal, but the question is whether you want to put articles on the town meeting warrant for the purchase, because that's what would be required, because it would have to be purchased within 180 days.
180.
So we should, I mean,
Do you have a date on when it expires? Like, what is 180 days? I think it's easier to.
Elaine had put together a chart. There's this Chapter 61 chart. It shows exactly the date, and that receive should be postmark date. It's called
chart?
Chapter 61 Notice and
I thought it was
Chart.
120, but that's what's came in my mind, but I can't.
Is it 120 days or 180?
I think it's 120.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but people have been saying both, so I just wanted to.
It's right in our policy, actually.
Which would be, what is that, 4 months?
Yeah, 4 months.
So June 20, basically, all of them expire at the end of June.
Sorry, 100,
Well, even though it's
It has to
highly
be
unlikely
recorded at
that
120.
we would call a special town meeting, I don't see any reason to rush to not get input from open space and let other people
No,
take a
that's-
look at it.
Yeah, that's not on the table. We want to get input from them. The question tonight, again, is,
No, because we could turn down our right of first refusal tonight. I'm just recommending that we don't.
what I'm saying, that this wasn't up for discussion to just talk about refusing or not. It's just talk about, have we heard from the relevant boards, which we always hear about, which the answer is no. So I think we should put placeholders for these 4 on the off chance that those boards come back and say, this is something that's, ecologically or environmentally important to the town. And then if they come back and say no, we can just either pass over them, or if it's before the printing, we could just remove them from the warrant. At least we have a place to put them there. I think voting on a .006 acres probably,
I know, I thought it was a typo.
what is it? Is that somebody taking out a mailbox or something? That's like, I don't even know how 6/1000ths of an acre is.
Yes, so our policy dictated like tonight's meeting, really. We're going to meet 2 weeks prior to the 30-day
Right.
timeframe, so we can meet, there's all these benchmark dates that we have to meet, so, and it was to discuss if there's any input, which we did get some from the planning board. The open space chairman has been contacted.
Okay.
They haven't had any meetings scheduled, but they still have 2 weeks. We can reach out again.
But the critical part is that.
The warrant articles,
that-
if there's
well,
gonna.
no, even before that, the critical part is that our town council has determined that the clock has started. They have met the
Yes.
criteria according to that. Okay.
Correct.
So therefore, these dates received are, well, actually, you said it's not date received.
Not
it's
date
actually
received,
the
it should
date
be
that's
posted,
Okay.
yeah.
Is this column the date we received it or the date it was posted?
I'll confirm with
Okay.
Elaine, because she put
Anyway,
together
it
that
doesn't matter,
chart. Yeah,
because
it's
if we need
within,
to,
yeah.
right, if we need to,
days.
it can't be more than a week difference anyway. So does anybody have an objection to putting these 4 individually on an annual town meeting warrant? And then when we get all the reports back from the land use boards and the open space committee, we can make a determination whether they'll stay on the warrant or not?
I would
I
kind
don't-
of think you don't need a placeholder for C.
What difference does it make? It's a placeholder.
I don't,
I don't care.
we've had no discussion of purchasing any of these. I feel very awkward having them on town meeting with no awareness as to why.
Well, they may not even reach town meeting, that's.
But we don't even have any reason to want to buy any of these as of we see now. They're just
Correct.
coming out of
But
chapter.
if we do, and we don't meet the annual town meeting warrant, then we have to call a special town meeting, because only town meeting can purchase them.
Well, do we have any input even from ourselves of why we'd want to buy any of these?
I am not familiar with any, well, I'm familiar with one of the properties, I guess. 300 I know a little bit, but I don't know any of the other properties.
So
myself.
with town meeting not being far away, I don't feel any sense that we're prepared to, I don't think we should just throw things at the warrant just in case we want to exercise things. I think we should, at this point, have a clear understanding of why we would be purchasing these.
We will have a clear understanding by the time, because the time that the boards need to get back to us is before town meeting. So there will be a time to discuss it.
How would we fund them and all these things? I just don't think we're there to have these as articles. I can't make sense of what the article would even be.
A placeholder.
To buy all this?
Potentially, we don't know. But if we
Hopefully it doesn't even make the printing.
Right,
because
exactly. It may
gives
not
us an
even
extra
make.
2 weeks to figure that out.
Right. Just to preempt having to call, if somebody board says, oh, we really should not pass up on the 10 acres on Flat Hill Road, and we didn't make the article, that means we have to call, we have to spend $2,500 or $3,000 to call a special town meeting just to have it voted on. And we're just trying to avoid that if we can.
Well, they went through 3 of these last night at planning board, and they had all the information about them. So do we want to go through them and understand what they are? Is that in here?
But that's not everybody. We didn't hear from conservation and we didn't hear from open space.
No, but we can formulate our own thoughts.
I will formulate my own thoughts when I hear from the bodies that I want to hear from.
But based on just understanding the parcels ourselves and whether or not we feel they have any meaning.
I, as one member, do not feel that I have enough information for me to discuss the properties themselves. If
They're
anybody
just
else
like-
does,
Well, like, the one on Flat Hill, it doesn't connect to any conservation land and things like that, and it's coming out to, I think, form like 2 building lots. I don't see any reason why the town would want that. So, I'm just,
I just looking at the information we have in front of us, I don't see any reason why we would want to buy them, but I perfectly, am interested in making sure open space and conservation have the same opinion.
yeah, I would wait. I just feel like we can formulate an opinion on our own and share with them what our opinion is rather than just taking everyone else's. Like the only one that, the Holman Street property is all, the lane land, but there already is so much town-owned land there, we could just have discussions about whether or not we see any
Well, it doesn't.
reason to
There is a map
pursue.
at the bottom of that PDF. It's not even touching the lane property. It's the intersection of Northfield and Holman Street.
But the 136 acre parcel on the deed that piece is coming out of does. That's why I brought up the fact that it was vague about the size of the piece coming out and how much, because the actual deeded parcel in this discussion is 136 acres and does join up.
Well, it sounds like all the more reason to hear from open space.
On that one, but I don't know if we should just, I don't know why we'd put, like the lots they're making on Cross Road for building lots, and they don't adjoin any municipal land or conservation land. I don't know why we'd even formulate an article. It just seems strange. The A and D are just creating like building lots and pulling land out of chapter, but it doesn't touch anything that I can see that we'd want to purchase. I'm just thinking of the property owners and stuff, and if I don't know, if we can't make sense of any reason why we'd want it, I don't know. I guess I don't.
well, we have a procedure in place that details what the town action should be. And we ask for the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, and Board of Assessors to provide us with input within 30 days from the mailing of the notification. So that means they have till the end of this month to get us that information. I don't see any reason to short circuit their opinions.
No, I think it's fine. I'm just saying we could give input on how we feel about the part, but if you don't know about them yet, I guess we'll wait, that's fine.
Do you need a vote?
If you're going to put articles on the
Yes.
warrant.
So. Sir?
Is it appropriate time for me to ask for it?
Yeah, it's appropriate as any.
Thanks. Mike Conway, I'm the property owner at Flat Hill Road, the Flat Hill Road side. Can you clarify what the process forward is if you guys don't waive the right of first refusal tonight? I was a little confused about the timing of town meeting and what events.
Sure.
Just
So
how you were explaining, like, you know, a couple more days to hear from the other.
In large terms, in big terms. So if we hear back from those bodies that I just said, the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, the Open Space Committee, and they come back saying, we don't see any reason to purchase this, it doesn't add to our land, it doesn't attach to anything, it doesn't have any special environmental or ecological purpose, whatever their reasons are, and they say, we don't see any reason to purchase it, then it has been the tradition of this board to waive and vote against the right of the right of purchase. So that would free you, and we would sign that document. If it was decided that one or more boards decided that we should investigate further and we may want to go forward, then depending upon how this board votes now, we would have an article at town meeting that would offer a purchase of the land getting out of chapter.
Okay, so say you draft those articles now.
And there's no requirement that we act on them. We're putting them in because there's a date on next Monday that's the close. The warrant is closed after that. We cannot add any more warrant articles after that.
Okay, that's the part I don't understand. It's like the timetable from here till the meeting. Do you have to hear, is the meeting after the date at which you need to hear from Open Space and Conservation?
They're going to report after our close date of the warrant. But
before
the print date of the warrant. So we could remove them if we decide that we don't want to exercise the purchase of the property coming out of chapter.
Okay.
And so it would never go to town meeting and it would never get voted on.
So you're going to know that within 2 weeks?
We'll know that by when we get the reports, so let's just say by the beginning of the month, beginning of next month. So like, let's say on the off chance, like a month from now, at the furthest probably.
Okay, and then say it doesn't go on the town meeting agenda. You take it up again at the next meeting of this group, next regular meeting of this group?
We would offer what we want to do once we have all those reports. So well before town meeting, we'll know whether we want to try to exercise the purchase or not.
And that doesn't have to happen at one of these meetings?
Yes, it will have to happen at one of these
Like a
meetings.
standard Tuesday night meeting.
Yeah,
but
it'll
likely
happen
not
in an
too far
open
into the
meeting.
future.
That won't be a behind closed door thing. It'll be at one of these meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this group meets every Tuesday?
Except for the last Tuesday of the month.
But
Except this month we meet
we
every
meet every
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sometimes
because
we
it's
get the last
because
one
it's
off.
before town meeting, we're meeting more, but yes.
You can peruse town calendar daily, like we end up start doing.
Sounds great.
You can sign up through the website to get the agendas.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
That clear? I don't want you to walk away if it's not clear.
No, I mean, I'm just kind of sort of like looking for like the drop dead date. Like, when am I going to know? You know what I mean?
You're going to know whether we're going to vote on it at a town meeting, probably at the latest, like the middle of April, I would say.
Okay.
We'll have all the reports. I can't believe it's going to be a lengthy discussion. It's not going to end up being on multiple meeting agendas. We're going to discuss it at one agenda once we have all those other commissions and committees and their reports.
Okay. So, is there an outside chance that you're not going to get reports from those committees?
No, we give them 30 days. They have, according to our process, 30 days. If they don't do it in 30 days, then from my own standpoint, I'm going to deem it that they didn't think it was important to do, unless they give me a reason why they haven't met.
Oh, okay. How many days are left on that 30 days?
By the somewhere by the end of the month.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. By the middle of April, we'll know.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd entertain a motion that we put these as placeholders for these four on the annual town meeting to be rediscussed and reevaluated as we get the reports from the various land use bodies.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Well, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
No.
3-1, it passes. All right. Request for a joint meeting from the planning board regarding the Brooks House, TC Passios building, and the middle school, high school parcel. Yeah.
Good evening, Matt Allison, Chairman of the Planning Board. I fear that there may have been some wires crossed. At our meeting last night, we were presented with the plan showing the proposed subdivision between the new middle high school, the school campus, and the TC Passios and the Brooks House. We were presented that because we did ask about it, but I found in the minutes of February 10th, in the board comment, board members stressed the importance of a joint meeting with the select board for master planning discussion. I fear that that is what we wanted, in my recollection, that is what we wanted to request a joint meeting about, because master planning is so involved, and there are a number of moving pieces actually being discussed about, and there is actually the TCP, RBC, the
Design
BDC. Yeah. So we really wanted to get a meeting of the minds.
Okay. We can do that.
And as far as what was your agenda item tonight? Was
It said, it was just a request. For this agenda item?
Yeah.
It said a request for a joint meeting from the planning board and the Board of Selectmen regarding the Brooks House, TC Passios building, and the middle school, high school parcel.
Okay.
So I'm certainly willing to put that on. I guess the question would be, your meeting or our meeting?
I feel like, did I read an invitation, or what am I thinking for the March 23rd meeting? Was there an email, or did it come up at your meeting?
There's a memo
It
from
was.
Adam.
Yeah.
Last week.
So that's been floating in my,
Yeah, it was.
calendar brain,
Okay.
that they invited us to that meeting.
It's a very confusing memo.
Thank you for the invitation.
Anytime. Anytime. And thank you for the attendance.
So it's from Mr. Bernie to all of us. So the planning board discussed the status of the property at 1079 Massachusetts Avenue. Currently, this property is occupied by the TC Passios building, the Brooks House, and Lunenburg Middle High School. From my memorandum from February 4th, 2020, the planning board would like to begin discussions on the future of this property and any potential divisions that may occur as part of the future projects on the site. To this end, the planning board would like to hold a joint meeting with the board on 23rd of March. He writes his dates.
Yeah.
Sorry, European-wise, so I can't read them well. At 2020 at 7 PM. So we're meeting at your place.
Oh, okay, very good.
Is everybody on the board able to attend that meeting?
I have to get back to you.
Okay,
Yes, I believe I can.
I believe I can.
Is it possible that we add master planning to that list of discussion items?
Well, since it was your invitation through Adam, you could talk to Adam. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I feel like if we're getting together, we should
I would-
get together
I would
on
hope
any
so.
topic that
Yeah, right.
makes sense. But also, in terms of the schedule, does 7 o'clock make sense, or should we come at like 9:45? Like, what's on the agenda?
We have that stormwater continuation. We're not going to do the site plan review approval
the-
until April.
Right, yeah.
7 feels early, but that's fine. I'll be there for the pledge.
Well, it's your invitation.
Can you put us on first?
If you guys would like to submit a time that's beneficial, I am more than open to any time.
Listen, we've had people waiting to be appointed to Agricultural Commission tonight. We all understand meetings, I would say that if you think that you're inviting us at 7 and we're not going to get on until 9, maybe you would adjust it. But if it's 7 and we get on at 7:30, that's fine. Everybody understands.
We do have a somewhat contentious permit still being continued, so it may go a little longer.
So we can make it 7:30?
I don't see why
I'm
not.
asking you.
I don't see why not.
Okay.
Honestly.
Can we make sure Michael is aware of that? That it's 7:30, everybody here? Yeah. That's
Okay,
good.
very good. I will also take the opportunity, standing here at the microphone, there is a member of the Historical Commission here.
Yes.
That item on your agenda got skipped over because nobody was here.
Okay, CPA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But it was rescheduled for next week already.
Oh, you have, okay.
Well, from your chair. I'm more than happy to hear from you. I mean, that's fine.
Let me approach the microphone and see if you have any questions.
Sure.
Colin Dwyer, 76 Main Street, Historical Commission and Architectural Preservation District Commission.
So your commission, Historical Commission.
Yes.
Of the two, is looking to put on the CPA for adoption by the town.
Yes.
Okay. So the first question I have is for the town manager, and it may not be her venue because it's really the clerk. Because that would require a town vote, are we too late in getting this question on the town ballot? Because that would be of key importance.
I do not believe so.
You don't believe it's too late?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
believe it's too late.
Okay, so that would be an important thing, because for people who don't know out there, the CPA is a two-step process, has to be adopted at town meeting, and then it goes to a ballot question.
I think it would have to be done by the time, so the board has to sign the annual town meeting warrant no later than March 31st, because it goes to the printer the following Monday. The same with the election, although the town clerk and I have a disagreement about this, and so I'm asking town council to put something in writing, that since the election warrant goes in the booklet that goes to all the households as well, that the board would need to sign off on that as well by the March 31st meeting.
Right.
So therefore, a ballot question would have to be voted in format and submitted to the town clerk prior to March 31st, so she can add it to the warrant.
Right, and that means that, and if you work backwards, it has to go to the town council to make sure that the wording is exact, because the CPA, I don't know how much work your commission has done on it, but as somebody who's worked on it twice in the past, there's a lot of, this is an exact wording that has to be put there. So tell us about, I mean, if you want, you can take some time and talk about.
Well, I think there's quite a lot to be, there's a lot to say about it, so I don't want to take up too much time. It sounds like you are familiar with the Community Preservation Act.
I am very familiar with it.
Yes.
I've been
Okay.
a big proponent of it for many, many, many years.
Well, great. I agree. I think we have a lot of education to let people know, to let people know about the Community Preservation Act, so they can make an informed decision about whether it's right for the town of Lunenburg or not. But the general gist of it is that it would impose a tax surcharge, so that whatever your assessed town taxes would be, there would be a surcharge on top of that, up to 3%, and that is the warrant article that was submitted was for the 3% surcharge. That would be the full amount. There are exemptions, but it would be a 3% amount surcharge on your taxes that would go into a special fund that would be partially matched by the state. Exactly how that process works is a little bit complicated, and I don't know all the ins and outs of that, so I'd rather not speak about that right now. But they will match some funds, perhaps all of them, for the purposes of community preservation. So that's going to be community housing, conservation, recreation, historic preservation, and a few other things.
Do you happen to know at this time what the approximate rate, right, what the match is? That's not a reimbursement, right? So it's what the match is percentage-wise from the state these days? Because there's a lot of communities who have adopted it.
Yes. It's funded by real estate transactions and also by a trust, a fund that's held by the state. And as more and more communities have adopted it, the pie's been sliced up into thinner slices. So I don't know exactly what the percentage match would be. Now, Chair Lantry has told me that if you adopt it at the full price, at 3%, for new joining members, like new, small communities like us, that they will match it fully. So whatever we put into it, the state will is guaranteed to match the same amount, dollar for dollar.
For that first
one
year.
grant or for all grants?
This is just something that this is again, I
No,
don't
that's
want
good.
to
That's
talk
good.
on this. 'Cause
So we're previewing some of the questions, and we're going to leave it on next
Yes.
week's agenda. But just to prepare, so that's something that you might want to go back to the commission, because that's the questions that the public are going to need to know.
Yes.
Yep.
And another question is, I understand that 176 municipalities in the state have have created some form of this. How many are at 3%? How many are at 2%? How many at 1%? Are there any less than 1%? I mean, because this article is asking for the full 3%, which is a lot of money.
Yes.
So I'd like to know, out of the 176 communities, how many are at what percent?
I expect we can find that out for you, and I know you can go as low as 0.5%.
All right.
Right.
There's an article in the MMA online. It's stated April 3rd, 2019. That time, there were 173 cities and towns that had adopted the CPA, and the match at that point was 11.57% of the local surcharge revenue.
What is that? Oh, so you got about 11% match?
Yep, so maximum match rate was 50%. At that time, it was 11.57.
What, say that again?
I guess I don't
What was the second
understand.
part? That you said about 50?
That, yeah, so this article says, according to the Community Preservation Coalition, the CPA Trust Fund distribution state match has declined every year since 2013, when the state match rate was 50%.
Right.
Okay, so it's declined down to 11% from 50%.
At that time.
Because
So
the
I don't know
fund-
what the most recent.
Right, because the fund isn't, I mean, the transactions, the real estate transactions and the trust fund kind of stay, those contributions of revenue stay the same.
So the
And
state
There's more
is-
people,
The state is getting money from real estate
right.
transactions.
So those
That's where they get
transactions
their
are
money.
kind of stable, as is I think there's a 1 cent trust, there was a 1 cent put in, I think, on sales tax, I think, or something like that was attributed to this too,
I
to
believe
keep it
that's right.
going.
But
So
it-
that revenue coming in is pretty
Steady,
not
stable.
Steady would be the word. But the more communities that go into it, obviously, it gets divided by more people.
So it's down to about 11% match.
Right.
That sounds about right. I know that there is a discretionary fund that there's a certain amount, as I understand it, there's a certain amount of the money that's distributed by a very standard procedure, and then there's a certain portion of the funds available that are then awarded to certain communities. So you might, for a certain project, as I understand it, you might get more than just your 11% match.
Right, especially the people who go to 3%. There's 2 rounds of distribution funds, I believe.
Yep.
So everybody gets distributed portion A.
Right.
By how much they put in, and then people who go to 3% get an extra round. That's what it had been. I don't think it's changed very much, so, but we can review this. So those are questions just to bring to the Historical Commission for next week.
Now, in what you sent us, it said that one community, I think Nantucket, doesn't do it that way, that they they get the money from sales, property sales. Yeah, they take a portion of, it's in this. So you don't have to do it as a tax, you can do it as, a fee on property transactions, according to the literature you gave.
I know that one of the things that the Community Preservation Act is part of Mass General Law, and the way the act is funded is partly through real estate transactions. So I'm wondering if that's what you're referring to.
No, it said Nantucket was the first community to do this. They did it back in, at least your literature said, they did it back in 1983, and they established it that all property sales would have a piece of that would become their land grant, and that's how they started community preservation. And then other communities thought that's a good idea and started doing the same thing. So I don't know if it's possible to do it that way or the tax way, or if it's no longer possible to do it the way Nantucket does it.
Where are you referring? What article?
I don't know, something I read in the information that they gave us. It might have been history, maybe CPA history?
Okay. Well, it's another good question to look into. I believe I have
Yeah,
read something
it's
about
in the
alternate
history.
fundings besides assessment tax.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
I'd
were
like-
just telling you, they were telling you what inspired the CPA. So it was inspired by a program that was in Nantucket at the time.
Okay.
So that's what it's saying.
It says they levy a 2% real estate transfer tax on the sale price of a property.
Right, but that's what gave the impetus or the idea for the CPA.
But maybe they still do it that way and have a
No.
CPA. I think it's a much better idea.
No, the CPA is funded by real estate transactions across the state. So
That's
they
right.
got the idea from, Nantucket used to do that in their own local area. And that's what gave rise to the CPA on the state level. Anyway, there'll be a good discussion next week.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, minutes.
Doesn't look like there are minutes.
All right. Warrants. No, there's warrants.
This one.
One warrant, accounts payable in the amount of $237,312.95.
Thank you.
While that's going down, any action files?
Yes. Anybody else?
I actually have one, yes.
Okay.
It's actually a follow-up, and I think an action item that, Tom, you had brought up a number of months ago about when we paint roads after we pave them, and just the painting schedule. A citizen brought it up to me, just wondering essentially the same question you asked, so I just wanted to follow up.
Right.
We have roads that get paved and they left blank, and just how can we get them painted quicker? Because
So I think at that point, we asked the DPW, we asked the DPW director for the policy and the procedure, so when people ask us, we have something. So he said he would provide that if you would ask him. Again, I know there's some time for curing and things like that, so I just want to know what the answer is, so when people ask us, we have it and we can show them.
Someone else, I have an action item.
Go ahead.
The BOS received an email from the town manager stating that her performance review and evaluation must be completed between April 15th and May 16th. I would like to ask that an agenda item be added to next week's meeting
Already done.
to review the procedure and predetermined dates.
That was gonna be my announcement about action items. That's already on next week.
Great,
Yep. So I
Perfect.
read your mind.
thank you.
Yes, we will review, next week, we will pass out the forms, and we will review the process that we approved either late last spring, early last summer. I don't know
summer.
which one, whatever. I mean,
Right.
in 2019, let's put it that way. So that everybody knows what they are going to do. And we want to make sure that's done before the town election, because all the people that would be reviewing her, any new members that come on, since you and Damon will not be here after that, wouldn't be able to review her.
Was that one of our goals? I think that was a goal.
What? Yes, we
Repairing the process.
Yeah, and we did.
We did. Yeah.
Well, that remains to be seen.
Well, no, we
Tough to do
changed the
it.
process. We don't know if we changed it well, though.
Changed it, don't know if you repaired it yet.
The other action item, talking about something, Damon reminded me that something I had brought up. I've asked this question before, and I just never have gotten at least an answer that sat well with me, is that the large trash bags, everybody acknowledges don't fit in the large trash barrels that are standard across the United States. So can we find a way to get a trash bag on the new, not replenishing the ones we have printed, but new ones that actually fit around and you don't have to hang in the side of your bags? Can we find out from
Yeah, it would be.
Tessa, if she's still
It's
there?
not Tessa, it's our Waste-Zero. Waste-Zero is our
Waste-Zero.
bag vendor.
Okay.
So we would have to get pricing. from them.
I forget what I tested and why it was different, but it had exactly the same results.
Yep.
And it used to be doable before we had the drawstring, because you could really stretch the bag.
We
Not
still
good
have
for the
those.
bag.
We still have those size bags.
Like on the
That was
black
test-
market?
That was the test bags.
But the drawstring does not make that possible, because if you stretch it, then you rip it out of the thing, and then there's no
I
drawstring.
implemented an entire new plan. I buy the small, fits perfect in the kitchen, and then I just put anything extra in each kitchen, about 3 a week, small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even use large anymore.
If we could just find out that would be great.
So what size was that?
The large, not, the extra large fits in the barrels fine, but it's the large bag, so the middle one of the 3 we sell, does not fit in your average, go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot, go to Aubuchon, get a trash barrel.
Your Oscar the
There's a-
Grouch trash can.
What?
Your Oscar the Grouch trash can, the metal
Right,
one.
exactly. If you take them, a tape measure, they're all the same diameter. We just need a bag that fits that diameter.
Like Goldilocks and the Three
How many
Bears,
gallons?
right?
That's what I'm asking, how many gallons?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
Right.
think about the trash by gallons.
Just give her the diameter.
The-
Measure it and
well,
give her
it's
the diameter.
I just bought one the other day. I'm sure it still has a tag on it, I can tell you.
There you go. What, gallons as far as the barrel, or the gallons as far as the bag?
The bag.
Again, it's the middle-sized bag, not the
The
extra large.
dimensions would work as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can get that to you.
I need that information to ask for pricing, so.
Well, I mean,
trash bags.
If we're talking to, what is it called? Net zero?
Waste zero.
Waste zero. Waste, if we go to waste zero, I mean, like, I would find it hard pressed for them to find the standard thing that they couldn't test it out on. Like, I could provide the diameter and the dimensions, but if they just took one and put it on, they would see it doesn't fit. Like, it's not gonna, they're magically not gonna take one out and have a barrel that fits, because I can guarantee it doesn't. But I will get the dimensions.
That'll be our goal for next year.
All right, committee reports. Any committee reports?
I know I stayed through planning last night, but I think we've covered, we talked a little bit about some of the key issues going there, and then they want to meet with us. So I think the master planning, I mean, now I've been following along for years. There's some things where we're just not getting there with anything really changing. I'm excited about our goal and offering an opportunity for one building to have a different outcome. But with planning last night, the earth removal, public input session, I think my input to us would be, because they actually had a really good turnout for the generic portion, just about earth removal permitting in general, is that people who work in the industry of earth removal and stuff seem fearful of what they look at as new regulations, because they don't perceive us to have, that they don't perceive that we have any. But we do. We have the 10-yard bylaw, which is really, I mean, it's like you can't even have a dump truck of dirt removed from a property without triggering an earth removal permit per our current bylaw. So what I really hope for with town meeting is that anybody that fears the new bylaws or the change or our recommendation to move the permitting authority to the planning board is that now that we've identified we have a bylaw we don't follow, I want to understand the implications on us. That are we obligated to start following the unbelievable bylaw that we have? So I really think that's part of what I would speak about at town meeting, is to maybe amend or change the bylaw that's going to planning if people are uncomfortable about a certain number or figure, but not to shoot it down entirely, because we do have a bylaw and we're not following it. Would we be obligated? I would feel obligated to say, do we have to then follow it, or us work on amending and changing our bylaw for like fall town meeting. So I think hopefully it moves to planning, but just being prepared if it gets all shot down like last time, that we do have a bylaw we're not following, and now we're very aware of that.
So my take on that is I would encourage every member of this board, every member of the planning board, every member of any board to get behind the bylaw change. Not only the change of the authority, but the changes that they made, which are well thought out. And
Enforceable.
Well, ours are enforceable too, but that's not the point. The point is they made good changes. They made changes that somebody at last town meeting, when this was an issue, came up with, what if I'm building a driveway? Well, driveways are an exception, so they recognized that, and they made that an exception that doesn't exist now.
And there is
So-
a permit for driveway
Right, and so
already.
there's all these things, and I would take a slightly different take from Mrs. Adams on one thing. It was a great turnout for the earth removal industry, not a great turnout on the public. I think, aside from Mrs. Adams and myself, I don't think anybody else from the public spoke. Everybody else who spoke was from the earth removal industry in our town, so, of which we have lots of excavators. So, and they were questioning things, and I don't want to second guess what they're doing, but I mean, the planning board chose a minimum threshold of 1,500 cubic yards, which is 150 times more than we have now. But that was still too low a threshold, even though it was above any other town, except for one, I think, that had 2,000. One. So I'm like, there are certain things that make you wonder. I think it's a very well-written bylaw. I offered some suggestions to them. They got other input from the earth removal people. But in the end, I think it really is a strong bylaw change. It's a strong authority change, and I think we just really want to support it at town meeting and not fall prey to, the fearful thing, because I think what Mrs. Adams said is exactly correct. If somebody says we're not going to do it, well, then everybody who takes more than 10 yards is going to be in violation. And what's
Which
the
is-
point of that?
And I think another good thing to point out with the warrant articles is they're separated into two. And one is to vote to give the authority to the planning board, and it's separate from the bylaw. So we could potentially, as a town, give them the 10-yard bylaw.
We should push it for both, but yes, I'm glad that's happening too, so. Because they're handling a stormwater permit for the same thing, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be in the same hands.
I
because
didn't
they
mean to have an
much more
evil laugh. Sorry, planning board.
I have a committee report.
Yes,
You done?
That's
go
it.
As reported last meeting, the Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalition is hosting 4 illicit discharge detection and elimination, IDDE, trainings. The first will be held next door in Fitchburg on Tuesday, March 24th from 8 to 2, and will include lunch. I know that a workshop of this type was in the contract with our consultant at a cost of $2,500 in the event that this coalition-sponsored training was not available. I would like to confirm that the Lunenburg DPW is attending this no-cost workshop to save that $2,500.
I don't know if they are, but the discussion I recall from those meetings is that the coalition have the meeting in Lunenburg at the library.
We suggested that, but they said that they could have it in Fitchburg, which is a few miles down the road.
But that's the last conversation we had as a group with stormwater, because it would be easier to coordinate our staff going in town.
Do you think that going to Fitchburg is a
I can
tough
check.
stretch?
Yeah, I can check if, yeah.
You know,
if they're able to
I've
go.
sent this message out, as you know, to Stormwater several times, and I've gotten no feedback. I'd also like to confirm that the DPW is attending the Standard Operating Procedures Workshop to be held in Fitchburg on April 30th. You know, we made sure that it was done as close as possible to us without inconveniencing us. And, you know, there's a $5,000 savings to the town by driving to Fitchburg. And they get a free lunch. So I would like to confirm that they're going to take advantage of both of those workshops.
I can check.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure the comment of illicit discharge and detection is breaking YouTube community standards just by that title. All right, old business, discussion of fiscal year 2021 budget, the capital plan, the 5-year financial forecast, and the annual town meeting warrant articles. Is there any issue that anybody has raised with those? We have now all the articles that the board has to weigh in on as of tonight?
Well, there's, the deadline hasn't passed, so we don't, you know, there'll still be articles.
But the ones
being
from town, I
submitted.
mean, the ones from town administration, are we expecting anything that hasn't come in from any other town elected or appointed body that we know about but we haven't received, or anything from here till next Monday going to be a surprise?
No, so the only other articles I anticipate that I know of are the earth removal bylaw and the sewer enterprise articles, because they haven't submitted their articles.
Okay, but that's a standard one.
And maybe publicly announce that the board decided to add an article for 635 Mass.
Oh, yes, we should announce that. So there will be an article that we added this evening as a result of a executive session we had before tonight's meeting. That will be the purchase of 635 Mass Ave, which is the building in front of the public safety building. So there will be an article regarding that purchase for the town's use, and there will be more information as it comes out, but that is on the warrant as well. How many does that make it? How many do we have?
Let's see, so we just added 4, 5, 6, so 5 onto W.
One to W?
We're at W before 5, so.
Okay. Oh, so W, X, Y, Z, so we're in double letters.
20.
Okay, well, hopefully a lot of those ones that we added for the chapter 61s won't be there. I want to keep it under the Z limit, under 26. All right, upcoming meetings. So next week we have our normal meeting, then we have this month has 5 Tuesdays, it looks like. So we will, now, did you see this one? You were going to comment on the 24th and the 31st.
Just at the 31st, the sewer commission is meeting here, so we need another location.
That's fine.
So if it's a workshop, I
So
don't
either-
know if that matters.
So either the 24th or the 31st, we want to have a meeting with the APDC, the Planning Board, the Board of Selectmen, and the Historical Commission regarding the old primary school discussion.
What were the dates?
So either the 24th or the 31st.
I'd go with the 31st if we're going to join the planning board on the 23rd.
That's fine.
Because are we inviting them to that one too?
Well, we want to make, I guess we'll ask them. It's far enough in advance. Hopefully a majority of them can make this meeting. So, again,
31st.
it's to talk about this board's decision to have the article on town meeting.
Yep.
And how we want to approach the old primary school so we can make some headway.
So which date? I'm sorry.
We're gonna.
31st?
Andy recommended the 31st. I think it's
Okay.
better because it gives people more lead time.
Okay.
And it's also the date that we know we don't have this room, so we'll get another room. If we can do it in the Ritter, depending on how many people are going to show up, we can either do it in the, one of the media rooms in the high school, middle high school, sorry. Okay. And then just to reiterate, this coming Monday, as the town manager noted, and as Mrs. Adams noted, is the town caucus, which is at 7 PM at the Turkey Hill Elementary School. So that's where people can be nominated for all the open elected positions. Hopefully we have lots of people. Hopefully we have no blanks and no vacancies left open. So if you're interested in serving the town, this is the time.
Although we should mention that if you don't go to caucus, you can also pull papers.
You can.
And still join the fun.
Parade, yes. Public comment from the public. Mr. Passios.
Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street, came into this meeting with one public comment for the end, and now I have 3. And I'll be as brief as possible.
Welcome.
First of all, a little bit quick information on one of the items from the town manager's report. The Monty Tech superintendent and her staff did a presentation this past Thursday night for the Finance Committee. I encourage everybody to watch that YouTube presentation. They did a fantastic job.
They always do.
And explained everything very thoroughly. And I would like to make one comment from that, and that is that their overall budget for that operation up there only increased by 1.9%. So when you hear the 14% That's a combination of all the things you talked about, and they explained it very clearly in that YouTube meeting.
Do they have the same business director? Because that woman does an incredible
I believe so.
presentation.
Tammy Crockett.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, and she was able
She
to
is.
answer every single question, flip through a couple pages on a couple of them, otherwise they were all right up here.
Yep.
Great presentation. Secondly, and I think, seeing as town caucus is on Monday, I'm not sure how but the ballot really isn't going to be closed until after that. I'll pose this question anyway. I haven't heard an update on the town charter being approved by the legislature. I am aware that the bill was filed, but I'm still wondering what effect the timing of that approval is, how it's going to affect the ballot. Do we know that, and do we know what the procedure is going to be going forward if it doesn't happen in time? I don't need that answer tonight. I'd like to have a thorough response to that next Tuesday if I could.
I could give you it now.
I'm listening.
It has been presented to the legislature, to our senators and representatives, and it is on their dockets. Now we've had a resignation, so I'm sure there's going to be some shift, and now they're dealing with their budget season. So, the special legislation works at its own pace. We can put pressure as we can. I don't know that it has any bearing on when it gets done, but it could be, as we said from the time it passed, it could be anywhere from a year to 18 months. So.
Okay. So then the next question, and I know there's already been a question posed to town council, as to assuming at this point that it's not going to get ratified until after the ballot this May, then what is going to be the procedure going forward to fill the additional seats, specifically on parks? Will that be an appointment process filling vacant seats, or will it have to wait till the next municipal election? I don't know if we have that answer yet.
That we don't have the answer.
We don't, no, I posed that question to town council, because
Still
we spoke of
working.
it, and yeah, I haven't, so I'll ask him again.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the last one, and this is something that you as a board, maybe not all, actually not all of you, but the board will be taking up later this spring and into the early summer, and that's when you're setting town manager goals and Board of Selectmen goals for the next year. And I'd like to suggest that probably both goal sets should include working on or working through the issues of our DPW department. We have, every time we propose something such as Green Communities proposed this evening, as simple as attending a meeting in Fitchburg rather than Lunenburg, that involves the DPW, there's always an issue. Oh, we're not understaffed, we can't leave town, we can't do this, we can't do that. My suggestion, or hope you will consider, that you make it one of your goals, both for the town manager and this board, to find a solution to that problem in 2021. And to that means consider hiring an outside auditing and/or consulting entity to study the issues and suggest ways to correct the identified issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Any other public comment from the public? Public comment from the board?
I don't think so.
And then we're at that moment.
Do I
of-
maybe have one? Did you announce that you weren't running on the over-the-phone when I was on the phone?
Correct.
Yes.
That's what I thought, and so I just wanted to say thank you, and when you went through your list, or your resume, if you will, it was extensive and long, and that's a lot of time, and the hours through all that, and I wanted to say something, but when you're not at the meeting, it's hard to know when to talk, and I didn't even know if I could be heard, so I just wanted to say thank you, and I had intended to give input then, but it was a confusing meeting. I was like,
That was funny.
Thank you.
I kept trying to remember, oh, it's Katie.
yeah, and I'd have it on mute, and then I'd have to like unmute, and it was, there was some type of flu going through the house with the kids, so you're welcome, I wasn't here. But thank you, I wanted to say that last week.
I will say that too, but I'll say more when it gets closer to both of your last days. Okay. I would entertain one final motion for the evening.
To adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Good night.